you see? Fake smiling people, professional sanity. Tip a silver to Judas. Raise a cup and revel, a murder mayhem spree. A whisper to the devil, a blood-soaked fantasy. Tip a silver to Judas. Sing, sing, sing to me that old song. Power is but a revelation. Laugh, laugh like you like to do wrong. Drunk on hell's own revolution. Tip a silver to Judas. So tip a silver to Judas. Sing, sing, sing to me that old song. Power is but a revelation. Laugh, laugh like you like to do wrong. Drunk on hell's own revolution. Tip a silver to Judas. So tip a silver to Judas. So I'll pick up that old mask to hide my eyes of rage. Mileage of lives past, freed up from its cage. Tip a silver to Judas. I walk these streets of evil, my righteous fantasy. All these fake smiling people scream when they see me. Tip a silver to Judas. I'll sing, sing to you a brand new song. My pain is meant to be your salvation. My prize will be the cries of those who do wrong. My war will be an angel's revolution. Tip a silver to Judas. So tip a silver to Judas. So sing, sing, sing to me that old song. Power is but a revelation. Laugh, laugh like you like to do wrong. Drunk on hell's own revolution. Tip a silver to Judas. And I'll sing, sing a new song. My pain will be your salvation. My prize will be the cries of those who do wrong. My war will be an angel's brutal revolution. Tip a silver to Judas. So tip a silver to Judas. So tip a silver to Judas.
Good morning, best chat. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the delicious, malicious morning nonsense chat. We're back at it again. Hope you're ready for some fun. Hope you're ready for some absolute fun chat. Got some interesting things going on. I think you might like some of these videos. I also found a video you might also enjoy if you've seen Odyssey and Dune. Check it out here in a second here, chat. And see. All right. Let's see who's joining us today. Let's see here. Got this. Hold on. Set this up here. Uh, there we go. Here we go. We go. All right. How's it going? Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Carlos Batista says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Hello to Carlos Batista. Most human says, salute LD and Best Chat. Best Cats. And oh my, Jean Grey's a psycho? Please do tell. Check it out. You know, she's not supposed to be a psycho. They chose to make her a psycho, but then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, it's okay what she's done because essentially because she's a girl. She's a girl, so they will just excuse anything because she's a girl." All the feminists, the white knights, was like, "Oh, she's fine. You know, just she was sad when she did it." Let's see, and they had the audacity to go like, "Oh, well, the Punisher kills people." Well, yeah. He kills people. He's not a hero, and he pays the price, right? Like if you've ever seen the Punisher, like in any iteration, pretty much, he doesn't get away scot free. Like he's not really walking around all scot free usually, because what usually happens is if a cop catches him or something like that, then he'll get arrested. Or if a hero goes after him, he'll get arrested. He'll get beaten up. He's under the constant threat of going to jail. He always has to be very careful. So. Like it's not like the Punisher gets to walk entirely free. He's really good at evading capture, and also the cops don't really want to arrest him sometimes because he kills bad guys. Jean Grey, as far as I can tell, was just killing everybody, was just ruining everyone's life, just being a complete bitch. Anyway, let Def. Jean Grey is sociopath in Brand New Day. Yes, it looks like. I've seen Mahler's critique about it. I don't really want to go see Marvel movies though in theater. That's why I haven't seen it actually. But I've seen Mahler's like breakdown of the movies, so that's kind of what it feels like and what it looks like. And like everyone is kind of, even people who are defending Jean Grey are not really saying that it didn't happen. It did, but it's okay. That's the narcissist's prayer. It's just it didn't happen, and if it did, it was a good thing. It was okay. If it wasn't, then it wasn't that bad. If it was, then he probably deserved it. That sort of thing. As the husband says, morning folks, hello to you. Movie villain does horrible things, and a movie tries to justify it and make the villain female sympathetic. Audience, how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Yeah, just because the villain of the movie is female does not mean you get off scot free. All right, you still have to face some consequences. But it seems to be the case because the same thing with Scarlet Witch. Like Scarlet Witch did a bunch of horrible things, and we had to simp for her still. And the beginning's like, oh yeah, they'll never know what you sacrificed or whatever. It's like, okay, it's like it doesn't really count if the sacrifice in question is not doing evil things. They'll never know what you sacrificed. It's like saying going to Hannibal Lecter and say they'll never know what you sacrificed not eating all those people. Like, you don't have to eat all these people, right? You don't have to. You don't have to kill all these murders, right? Let's see. Boy Legion, good morning. Hello to you, Boy Legion. Good morning, LDN Breast Check. Good morning. Let's see. Carney Ketchell says, good morning, Dev. And Rumble Chats. Hello to you, Carney Ketchell. Sitting in the ER because my pops is in excruciating pain. Well, that sucks. Hope you're all doing better. Yeah, I've been there. Hope it's nothing too serious. Sometimes it's like it might be like something minor, just really painful. Definitely can happen. But hopefully it's not too bad. Good luck to you, Carney Ketchell. Good luck to your dad. Hope things turn out fine. Turn out all right. Maybe hopefully it's an easy fix. But good luck. Good luck. Hope things don't turn out too bad. Let's see. This as well says, and everyone who paid to see the movies said it was pretty much told Hollywood, yes, we want more of this. I mean, people want more Spider-Man. I think it's always been kind of the case. So, and I guess how can you really tell though? I mean, I guess the idea is it's already Marvel slop, right? So like just going there knowing it's Marvel slop is telling them. But if it's like really bad Marvel slop, like it's just like we need more crazy female villains to get away with it because everyone just kind of forgives them. Then I'm not sure we could see that coming. But yeah, if you're talking about like you're going to pay to see Marvel slop, well then yeah, the people did, yeah. To this offense is Jean's a woman in current year. Of course, she's a psycho, at least a level 4 psycho. Yeah, just I saw that meme was like studies show that men prefer women who are mentally ill, and the one guy goes, well, at this point, it's not much of a choice. It's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. It's a Curling Butterfly. Hello to Curling Butterfly. They wish the gifted membership. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, let me see here. Here we go.
Nice!
And StreamYard is really slow. It takes like 10 seconds to do a 2-second clip. Anyway, chat. Anyway, it's a Gamer God says, good morning, everyone. Remember to stay hydrated and stand against the evil. Going to see Legend of the White Dragon movie with some friends. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. And hope things turn out well, Dracon Demigod. Awesome. Hope it's pretty awesome. It's fantastic. Let's see. Cardi is a morning lit dev and best chat. The latest character assassination with Jean Grey is so stupid I can't even take it. I can't even call it a joke. Yeah, I mean, why go there? Like right off the bat, I see it's kind of crazy because I think this is like this Spider-Man movie is the first movie with the X-Men in it of this MCU. Like technically speaking, like I know we had like the Wolverine and Deadpool movie where it's like you get some X-Men in there, but but the X-Men aren't really a big factor in the MCU yet. I mean, we really deal with them a lot. Not really. There might be hints of them, but they're not really a big factor yet. There was some in like the Multiverse of Madness, but in the mainstay universe, not really. So, yeah, it's interesting to see them, but I mean, we don't have the X-Men yet. We don't. And so this is kind of like Jean Grey's first entry into this so-called MCU, and they immediately just make her a psycho. She's not supposed to be a psycho. I know that's a big arc with her that she turns into like the Phoenix or whatever, but it's not supposed to happen yet, and not right away. She was a good person in the beginning. Like you look at Stan Lee, like Stan Lee's first X-Men comic. She's a good person. She's a good guy. They bring her in. She has like psychic powers, and they bring her in. She's supposed to be a good person, but it's not how it works, I guess. Not how it works now. They're kind of like, okay, you know what? We're going to skip all over all that, and we're going to introduce Jean Grey immediately as a psycho. Immediately. Dr. Riz says, yeah, I was for Frank taking out Jean Grey. Yeah, it saves 90-year-old Hugh Jackman the effort. Exactly. The year 90. Hello, T-Shining Trunks. Good morning, all. I'm awake-ish on time and driving. And not driving. I might be able to take part today. So this is one of Jezebel's videos, Jean Grey's MCU debut. Director claiming responsibility, frankly. He should have used Emma Frost instead. Probably would have been better. I think this must be rough because we've gone from like the MCU being kind of like relatively ordinary style threats, and then we got larger and larger and larger until we got to the Thanos. Then we got the Thanos, and then we get to Multiverse of Madness. And then where do you go? Where do you go from there? So now, of course, we have like Spider-Man. That's like cross dimension, world-spanning psychic. Right? It's crazy. I just got to scale down a little bit. Curly Butterfly, Lex 2 says, Arise, Dark Prince of Words. Thank you very much, Curly Butterfly. Appreciate it. Very much appreciated. Let me go ahead and...
Nice!
Let's see. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Thank you very much, Curly Butterfly. Much appreciated. Very generous. Whoa, Carl the Tolkien Nerd for the 50-pound super chat. Thank you very much, Carl Token Nerd. Very, very much appreciated. Let me get the proper clip up here for you. The Worldo. Thank you very much, Kara, the Tolkien Nerd. Very, very generous. Let's see here. And we put you up here. You are now added to the week's list of donors. Let's see here. Of big donors. Big time. Thank you very much, Carl the Token Nerd. Very generous. Thank you very much. All right. Let's see here. Boom. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. I finished my book, says Carl Token Nerd. Good news all the way around and a treat for you guys, too. Fantastic. Well done, Carl Token Nerd. That's always a huge, huge accomplishment, huge feeling. Even if it's just the first draft. I don't know if you mean like you finish your book first draft wise or totally. But either way, usually a pretty good feeling, I have to say. Like, it's really pretty good. You might not think that a first draft at all would be would be a feeling of accomplishment, but it is. Because you already have basically the story done. You just need to, like, rewrite it, go over it again, check it out, that sort of thing. So even if it's first draft, I'm not sure, or just completely finished, either way, congratulations, Carl the Token Nerd. Very well done. Very well done. Let's see. All right, chat. Well, all right. Let me see what's this. Maybe it's this. All right. Let's see. All right. Good news all the way around. Fantastic. Well, awesome, awesome. Let's see here, chat. Making sure this is all up here. I got everything ready and set to go. Let me go ahead and update this real quick. Thank you very much. All right. Here we go. And let's get this all accurate and all squared away. Awesome. Thank you very much. This brings us to... Oh, we're getting pretty close here. All right. There we go. Thank you very much. There we are. Fantastic. And let's see. I do have an extra video up here. So ready to go. So if we do reach, we'll say 300 a day, there will be an extra video. All right, good Megathons. Good morning, LD and Best Chat. More fun times today, absolutely. And I will say that if we reach the 300 mark, we will do an extra. First of all, extra video. Second of all, it's a new video, relatively new. It's like 3 weeks old, but it's concerning some interesting updates about World of Warcraft and its future. Let's see. Let's have still quiet compared to video to clips. Man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the volume is so low. But hopefully, I turned up a few things. Hopefully, it'll get better soon. Like this. Hopefully, it's better. Let's see. Then there's Finion Yeshu says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Good morning, good morning. Hello to you, Megalathon. Thunder Christmas says, yeah, I was for Frank dealing with Jean Grey. Yeah, me too. I heard that, he does try to kill her, but that's the wrong decision. You can't just shoot Jean Grey. Book Golem. Good morning to Book Golem. As he caught says, yeah, book available on Amazon. Oh, it's available on Amazon. Cool. Secret and Betrayal, a Pride and Prejudice variation. Very cool. It's like one of those. I remember that, I think the first one I saw of that was like Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, something like that. It's pretty cool. Pride and Prejudice variation. Cover has more problematic than anything else. Very nice. So good luck to you, Carl Token Nerd. Hope it checks out. Hope people look into it. And if you want to go check it out, it's called Secrets and Betrayal, the Pride and Prejudice variation. Very nice. Very nice. Junebug May Hearts. Hello to you, Emma Frost or Mr. Negative. Yeah, something like that. Agile Artworks' camera works better with the power set. Let's see. Felicitations. Hello to you, Posthumous. Cartoon says, finished totally. It's up on Amazon after at least half a dozen edits and re-edits has taken me almost a year. I mean, that makes sense because, as I like to say, writing is in fact rewriting. Get the first draft done. It's a big part of it, but then now you got to go over it again and again and again. Boom. It's all right, chat. Shopping Tronic says, is your microphone the right direction? No, it's right here. It's right in front of me. I don't know. What about now? It's more in front of me than usual. I don't know. Anyway. Let's see. But here we go. Let me get this straight. Okay, so it'll be this funny video going over Zendaya's acting is pretty good. 1 second. Let me get this up here. I thought it was pretty funny. Here we go. Check this out. Zendaya's acting. Zendaya in Doom. Zendaya in The Odyssey. Zendaya in Spider-Man. And Zendaya in Euphoria. There we go. It's always the same, like, condescending, I'm disappointed in men look. Ghost says, good morning, LD in chat. Jean Grey is a monster in the new Spooderman. The movie is stupid. Peter is stupid. Once you get past the shiny bits and talk about it, and you realize he's retarded. Oh, man. It's just, it's crazy they went with the whole crossing dimensions thing. I think they should have stayed kind of relatively grounded with Spider-Man. He is kind of a street guy, and he works best there. You don't necessarily have to be like a cosmic level hero to be good. Like street level heroes can be some of the most interesting guys. Like the Punisher is street level. The Punisher isn't going out there usually fighting Galactus or something, but he is one of my favorite characters, and he's street level. It's not that bad at all, actually. Let's see. Normal man looks at 200 superchats says Zoolander has more range than the dog. I think so, actually. Yeah. He has this blue steel, but it's a way better face, I think. All right, chat. Fantastic. There we go. So if we reach 300 today, we'll go ahead and unlock Pillarman and the extra video. There we go, chat. All right, let's move on over here. So, let's see what Jester Bell has to say about... well, that's a long video. Let's see what Jester Bell has to say about Jean Grey, the irredeemable psychopath and monster. We might not watch this whole thing. There's some other stuff I want to show you, but we'll watch a little bit of it. Normal Man, this is a 5 super chat says, do you think Zendaya is so rank that she makes her face on instinct? I don't know. But like her career is kind of like made up of that one face, and kind of looking like she's part of that Billie Eilish generation, right? It's kind of like in fact, the next video I have is on that idea. It's called Ugly Maxing, and it's by The Second Story. And we've been noticing this for quite a while, is that Hollywood has been like ugly maxing, but it's been in general, the culture in general. And the idea is that it's like, showing off that, oh, yeah, girls and women should be more dirty and more filthy looking. Billie Eilish is kind of like wearing giant hoodies and she just doesn't ever shower. Looking kind of just gross. That's kind of the whole idea. And we got the Supergirl movie where she's kind of doing the same thing, where she's pushing the idea that you should be gross and disgusting and all that stuff. Yeah, usually guys could do like the main characters as a man. They sometimes could do stuff like that, be gross, but usually it's like because they're losers. And you can make the argument that, yeah, okay, Supergirl is like, oh yeah, she's a loser, and that is kind of what the movie was portraying, right? That she's like a loser, burnout, kind of down on her mental health and everything. But then we get the interviews, right? We get the interviews saying that it's not the case. They want little girls to watch this movie and see Kara Zor-El as a hero and someone to look up to and emulate. Like it'll show little girls that you can be bad too, and I guess gross as well. So that interviews made me think about the whole thing, where it's like, okay, well, it's like the Billie Eilish generation, right? You can be gross, be frumpy, and that if any guy complains about it, it's he's just a misogynist, right? So that the interviews made me think that the Supergirl movie was kind of one of those things, where she was actually pushing the idea that little girls should watch this movie and learn how to be bad, and they can be a little bit bad, and it can be a little bit gross and messy. But yeah, every single time we have a guy like that, yeah, there's male protagonists that are like that. But usually it's because they are a loser, and there's no moment where it's like, oh yeah, guys, you can be messy and gross like this guy. Usually it means they're down on their luck. It usually means they're a slob. They're a loser. No one is going to come into their defense and say, oh yeah, it's just this movie shows guys that they can be a little bit gross sometimes. Men don't get that kind of sweeping, I guess. Anyway, but like to me, Zendaya is part of that big push, right? The Billie Eilish, the Supergirl, and it's about that people saying like, oh, we could have MJ or we could have Zendaya, and it's more along the lines of we want the main stars, the female stars now are supposed to be gross and less attractive, less feminine, look more like they just woke up and didn't shower that morning. And that's kind of the look now, right? They wake up, put on a gigantic hoodie that you wore 4 days in a row, and leave. Now guys can do that. It's more guys can probably get away with that a little bit more. But guys are supposed to be gross. It's kind of our job. And see, Nora Man, this is the $5 super chat, says, "Let me show them that girls can look homeless too." Yeah, that was weird. That was a very strange thing. It's like, okay, this movie is about you being like kind of down your luck and being gross, and then but your whole thing is like, okay, well, little girls could watch this and take inspiration from Kara Zor-El. Yeah, what? What inspiration? What are they going to learn from this movie? Anyway. Carl took notes. Says, "Yeah, I always needed that to be told that I can be gross and bad." Yeah, it's like that's crazy. It's a crazy notion. All right, Chad. But I don't know why I'm cranking it all the way up on my sound thing. But hopefully it's better. My interface here. Hopefully it's better. I don't hear too much outside of the outside of what you're supposed to be hearing. Like too much noise, but everything is pumped up to the max on StreamYard, on the computer. Everything is pumped up to the max, absolute max. Maybe it's echo cancellation. I don't even know. But anyway, let's check it out.
Major movies come out that people have really, really been hyped for that I want to open this video talking about. The tendency is that when people are really, really hyped for a film and when they really, really wanted to enjoy it and they go to that film and they experience it and it's overall a really entertaining, really exciting time, the tendency is to completely ignore flaws in that movie, to try to justify everything within it, to try to stave off any kind of criticism and people pointing out the flaws of that film. Now, that has happened to me in the past where there's been a movie that I really, really enjoy that I just don't want to accept criticism for, so I go to any kind of excuse in my head to defend it. And I have seen that again and again and again in this fandom that I have been a part of for perhaps 15 years now. Fans who, when they enjoy the film and when they want to love it, they try to defend everything. But the danger of when that happens is without instant feedback to the studio behind it, it can inadvertently justify absolutely terrible decisions that were made with the film, and it can encourage the studio to continue. And that's what I want to talk about today, as I'm going to be discussing Spider-Man Brand New Day and the depiction of Jean Grey and what it says about how Marvel Studios continuously tends to depict its heroes, especially its female heroes, and how a lot of the writers at this studio interpret morality. Because even I myself enjoyed Spider-Man Brand New Day as a Spider-Man movie. But every time I think about the film, I just cannot get over the absolute character assassination that was performed on the character of Jean Grey. In fact, as I have had time to think about it, this...
Because people like Jean Grey. Like everywhere else, Jean Grey is fun. She has a really good character. I really like well, I don't know, maybe not everywhere else, but in the original Stan Lee comics, she was fun. She was a good character. She was a good, proper, feminine, womanly character who was like a pretty good, admirable kind of character that young girls can like watch, I guess, or read or whatever, and kind of take inspiration from. Same thing with some of the guys, some of the guys. But overall, she was a good character. As I read her, she was in the first X-Men comic. So it's weird that they kind of start off here with like this is her introduction to the MCU, and she's a monster. It's like, what? This is a really strange decision. You couldn't get an actual bad guy?
This is the worst assassination I have ever seen of a Marvel character ever in a Marvel movie. And it's not even close. And it is also the worst introduction, not only of a famous Marvel character in an MCU movie, again, but the implications of the team.
And see, a Level Man says, I thought she was pretty bland, honestly, in the original Stan comics. Yeah, but that was pretty much goes for all first. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of why it didn't really. As far as I remember, it didn't really sell too well. Chris Claremont was the guy that really breathed life into the X-Men. I still liked it, but my point is that if you read the original X-Men comics, with Jean Grey is in there, like she's in the original X-Men comic, and she's fine. Like she's not like a crazy weirdo. She is a proper lady. She can handle herself. Like she's not a damsel in distress, and she's not a girl boss. It's like when I think Beast comes in and tries to like get too handsy with her, and she's like, "Oh, excuse me." That's about it. So she's not like trying to assert dominance over the men immediately. She tries to stay a proper lady. But when it's when Beast tries to get a little too handsy, she does act. But it's not to show him up or to like belittle him or anything. It's to say, hey, hands off. And she's not like a damsel in distress, where she's just she's useless and whiny, which would be also as bad. But yeah, he was a good character. She wasn't offensive in any way. Now, Chris Claremont had come in and kind of breathed life into the X-Men, which British writers tend to seem to do well. They tend to seem to bring some character, some life into stories in general. They just don't really seem to like superhero stuff. The British writers are really good, okay? They just can't seem to understand or comprehend why Americans like superheroes specifically. The British guys are just pretty good at stories in general, typically speaking. I mean, if they're good, they're going to be good at stories and not necessarily superhero stuff. So it's kind of how that goes. But yeah, she was in fact, I've read some of the original stuff more than the first issue, and yeah, it is kind of bland. It just feels like the initial run of Batman, not all that fun. Like it's suitable, but then it really starts getting much better as it goes on, and that's not surprising. That's to be expected. But yeah, it was bland, a little bit bland. Stan Lee kind of has a very Golly G. Willikers style writing, right? It's like kind of like Leave It to Beaver style writing. It could be pretty good, like sometimes with the original Spider-Man, but he kind of has that Saturday morning cartoon feel to his writing, and that's beyond X-Men. I read other Stan Lee works. It is very like a Saturday morning cartoon, or a little bit on the, I guess, boomer side. I like his stuff. I like his stuff though. It's very it's like, it's normal. I don't know. I guess I appreciate it because I'm so used to woke stuff. But it's just like Stan Lee, when Stan Lee wrote a comic, it was mainly fun. There was some he tried to put meaning in there, some really strong, hard-hitting meaning in there. Like with the first X-Men comic, it was about Magneto, and it was about the X-Men versus like good mutants versus evil mutants, to show you that it's not about one side being better than the other. It's about or like humans and mutants being better. It's about good mutants stepping in to stomp down extremism. That's kind of how that works. And Daredevil, it was kind of like the whole story was about him trying to take down the mobster, the fixer, that killed his dad, that pushed him into a life of crime fighting, and that sort of thing. So Stan Lee does try to push in a lot of messaging in the first one, but not like a political messaging, but like meaning, this generalized meaning. Like how I mentioned yesterday, where something in the past, the Twilight Zone episode in the past was all about how its loneliness is a torture and that you need real human connection, right? But today, a movie that tackles that topic of loneliness is men bad and women good, and that lonely men are just awful, evil monsters. right? It's about blaming men and showing women that men are awful, and if a man does not have a wife or a girlfriend, he is to be distrusted and hated because he's probably an incel. And this pairs oddly, specifically, with the other side of the coin, which is cheating is good. Actually, ever that we watched a few videos on that, a few videos by the way, on that, and this is a notion being caught by women saying, "Wait a minute, are they really romanticizing cheating?" So what do you have? On one hand, you have a slew of Hollywood movies and TV shows saying that lonely men and single men are to be distrusted and feared because they're probably crazy creepers, rapists, or incels that are waiting to slaughter you. Or actually not and on the other side, uh, there's a bunch of movies romanticizing cheating for women. A lot of them, right? It's very noticeable. So on one hand, distrust a man who is alone. On the other hand, seek out men who are already married and try to steal them away. Or something like that, right? But anyway, yeah. So I do respect Stanley's push, and you could really tell though, even though some of Stanley's comics were kind of boring or milk toast feeling, he understood superheroes. He was an American and therefore understood superheroes. And Chris Claremont came in and breathed life into X-Men by going in with the whole social issue thing that he made. He was the one that made Magneto eventually like a Holocaust survivor, things like that. So he could push in this sort of meaning and controversy, and that's good epic drama. But it's not. But when it comes down to superheroes, it might have been questionable compared to Stan Lee. Like it's very interesting to see this go down. Like good writing, but it's just fun writing in general, without without necessarily an appreciation for superheroes as a genre. Show dancer, hello to you. Show dancer, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello to you. Hello to you, Alex. Hello. Good morning to Jay Price. Hello, hello. And then Carter just turn down the clip volume to match you, or check the volume mixer on the volume task icon. I did. It's all there. It's just like the clips themselves have their own volume, so I can't really change them. They have to be changed before they get uploaded, I think. Kalechi Oki says, exactly, LD. X-Men Volume 1 was not a success. It was Claremont that turned them into a brand that they are today. Yes, absolutely. But even then, I think Jean Grey wasn't immediately like a villain. I mean, people liked Jean Grey. She was fun. She was a hero, and then later on became a villain. But even when she first started out in the X-Men comic, she was not a villain. And the main thing here is that people liked her. She was a fan. She was a hero, and she had fans. So people want to see some positive depictions of Jean Grey. But it's weird that this movie finally introduced us to the X-Men of the MCU, and right off the bat, they make Jean Grey a horrendous villain. It's like a heartless, irredeemable monster. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. I feel like they could have done a whole slew of other things than immediately make Jean Grey a villain, a psycho. Norman Mannix 5 does super chat says the Four Stages of Marvel movie shills, absolute cinema. I hate that one. Everything they've ruined that. Because everything they said is everything that comes out is absolute cinema, absolute cinema. They've ruined that notion. I mean, it's meaningless now. In fact, they ruined it so much that saying absolute cinema is like a joke. It's like the opposite now. It's like saying literally. It's like people have misused literally so much. Literally now means figuratively. The opposite of what it should be now. So to me, absolute cinema means it's a joke. Like it must be garbage. That's what absolute cinema means to me now. Forgets about the movie. Then movie was all right. Then the movie sure was stunk. Am I right? Yeah. It's like because a lot of people don't really know how to analyze film, and the poor normie will just watch the movie and feel good about it, and then say that it was a good film and it was awesome. I'm pretty sure that's how the Amazing Digital Circus movie got a lot of traction, because they saw it in theaters and it was very overwhelming. Because when you watch a movie in theaters, it is very overwhelming. You got the cool sound. It's dark. You're focused on the movie. You're very intent. very focused, very immersed in the movie. You got it's very you got the deep bass in there. You're comfy. You're eating some popcorn. It's very pleasurable. And even if you didn't go to the movie to see it the first time you see any movie, you're going to be more inclined to like it, typically speaking. And some people don't really realize that. So they'll go to see the movie. They feel good about it. It's kind of why people kind of like these movies, even bad ones. They feel good about it. And a lot of these guys, a lot of these normies will just go to the movie, feel good about it, think it's a good movie, and just move on. They don't reflect on it. They don't analyze it. They'll just go back to the next one so they could get another dose of feeling good. But were these movies good at all, actually? That's another question. And the reason why it's important to analyze these films is because you might feel good coming out of a movie, but is it memorable? Did you take something from it? And when it comes down to it, a movie that has memorable moments, really well written movies, well constructed movies, memorable moments, and so there's some meaning behind the actual plot, the actual characterization, the confrontation, the interactions. That's going to be a movie that lasts the test of time. It's going to be a movie where you think about it and go, "Wow, I should watch that movie again." As opposed to the MCU movies that you just go watch and you feel really good about, and then you go home and then you never think about it again. You just never think about it again. You might think about it again if you see like an advertisement and go, "Oh, yeah, I want to watch that movie again. That was pretty good last time." Look, it's a collection of all the Spider-Man movies. I'll get that. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that where you have like a really good feeling the first time, but if it has no substance, you're not really going to go back to it. You're not really going to think about it. And so that's kind of why it's very important to look into these things and to analyze these movies, because if you want to go beyond surface level, you kind of need to do that. Gregory90 says, "Good morning, Listener Devil and Best Chat." Hello to you, Gregory90. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Kletchy Oki, get your 100%. Hello to you, Kletchy Oki. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how it was with Chris Claremont and X-Men, where I do respect British writers. I mean, obviously, one of my favorite writers is still Neil Gaiman. Just because I like to hear him talk about writing and stuff. He's very passionate about it. And he's often quite correct about it. But obviously, he doesn't like superheroes either. Right? I mentioned this a long time ago, but if you listen to his interviews, this is why Sandman was made. Sandman is a superhero. He was given a superhero called Sandman. And then he's like, you know what? I don't want to do the superhero stuff. And if you listen to Neil Gaiman talk about Sandman, the reason why he started off Sandman the way he did, he didn't actually start off that way. He started off with Sandman or Morpheus being captured by a bunch of hedge mages, and that's about it. He's trapped in there. He's like wasting away for 50 years or something like that, while things kind of like ramp up around him until he can finally a guard falls asleep and he can be free. Okay, very cool stuff. Very cool opening. Not very DC. Like Sandman doesn't really fit into DC very well, and that's why, because it's not a superhero story. And then Neil Gaiman kind of he kind of sews in Morpheus / Dream into the DC universe by having him lose all of his tools, and he has to recover it. And he recovers one of his tools by going to Scott Free, I think, from the DC universe, and meeting the Martian Manhunter and stuff. And approaching Martian Manhunter as like the Martian god of dreams, because he is the Martian god of dreams. And I think there's a few more instances. They mentioned the Justice League and everything, but really, that's really the only time you get to see any references to the DC universe. He doesn't really run into Wonder Woman or anything like that in there. Not really. So, as much as I like Sandman, it's not really part of DC universe. And more to the point, when Neil Gaiman got the first chance Neil Gaiman got to jettison himself from superheroes, he took it. And as supporting evidence in his interviews, he goes, "Well, I wanted to, make it a superhero story a little bit for the uninitiated, to get people who are like DC fans to kind of wet their beak into Sandman by saying, oh, look, he's meeting the Martian Manhunter and stuff, and Scott Free, and And then he's going to take you down a journey that is not DC, not superheroes. So, yeah, it's like, I like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, Chris Claremont, but again, they know how to write stories, they know what how to make drama, but they don't really know or understand or respect superheroes. I know it's odd to say that because they've made some of the greatest superhero stories you've ever read, but at the end of the day, they want to make good stories, and they don't necessarily understand superhero stuff. Anyway, Will Spade, thank you $2 super chat. Appreciate it. You know what? They gave Jean Rogue storyline, did they? I guess they do like to mix and match sometimes. Steve Cloud says, I've heard the rumor that Jean Grey was added in the last minutes, and the other SM villains has more spotlight. I don't know what Marvel is thinking anymore. Although it made $1 billion, I mean, because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man usually makes a lot of money. People really like Spider-Man, and I'm not sure if I could say that's hard to mess him up, but it's not as tough as Superman, because Superman is kind of tough to do because he's so powerful and everything. Like, you really have to get down and think of a really good story for Superman. It's kind of how it goes. That can challenge him without being just like an ordinary, he punches out the bad guy and he wins. You kind of want to get a little bit more like umph with your Superman story, because he is the superhero, and you kind of want to get some morality in there, some tough choices in there. But with Spider-Man, you could do all that, but it's easier to challenge him. So I think that's why it's a little easier to make Spider-Man movies, because he does have powers. So he's kind of the middle. Like, Spider-Man is kind of the middle of Batman and Superman. Like, he has powers, but not so much power that he is Superman level. But also, he's also mundane, but not so mundane that he needs a ton of gadgets. I mean, he has some, but he can also use his superhuman strength and his Spidey abilities, Spidey senses. So he's kind of like a really nice middle ground between the big icons of DC. Ace of Swords, Silas Archer says, good morning, LD and Bez Chat. BWT, apologies for being late. Hello to you, Ace of Swords, Silas Archer. Welcome. Trinity Begot says, Jean was a villain in the comics too. She mind-controlled the hero Angel because he wanted to go home. She also went into Emma Frost's mind to force a confession of her sleeping with Scott, her husband. I know she eventually does become a villain. I guess it's called the Dark Phoenix, I think. The Dark Phoenix arc. But she wasn't supposed to be right from the get-go. Right, she's supposed to be a hero first. That's what made it so tragic. Let's see. Good morning. 1, no. 2, yes. It's the Orange Man. Hello to you. So, Lit, I found out I'm Mormon. You just found it out? I've been lied to my whole life. I'll also start my own road down Catholicism. Wish me luck. Well, good luck to you, Orange Man. Good luck indeed. Let's get going. ASIC says, good morning to you, ASIC. Good morning.
That this character is supposed to be a part of the X-Men and mutants as a whole. The implications that I have heard of what this means for how these characters are going to be depicted in the future are absolutely horrifying. Now, there's too many defenses out there. Once again, the concept of people having to defend every part of a movie that they love because they don't want to hear any criticism about it that might disrupt their experience. There's so many defenses out there that contradict each other. I can't even address them all. But the number one defense that I have heard for the depiction of Jean Grey in this movie is that this is merely...
Let's see, Will Spade, it's a $10 super chat, says, Rogue started off as a villain with unstoppable powers. She was hated because of her vampiric-like abilities. And I remember that one being the case where she can't touch people. She has to wear like these gloves the entire time, because if she touches you and you have a mutant power, she could absorb it and gain that power. I forgot if it's temporary or not. She was hated because of her vampiric-like abilities. Her adopted mother is a literal terrorist. She makes more sense for her to be the villain. Yeah, that would make sense, because I do remember it being like her being kind of a tragic character, because I'm going by the X-Men 2011 where she's like a Southern Belle or something, but like a goth girl Southern Belle. But yeah, that could be the case. I can see that being the case where she's just so overwhelmed with all of this stuff that she decides to go essentially rogue. Anyway. Well, by the way, thank you much, Will Spain. Once again, very much appreciated.
Morally ambiguous Jean Grey. A morally gray version of Jean Grey. And that's why I want to make this video. I want to make the case clearly that this is in no way merely a morally ambiguous version.
Does anyone else cringe when you hear morally gray now? It just feels so outplayed, so overdone. It feels incredibly cringe to me to hear someone say morally gray. They're morally gray. I mean that can be cool, but they've ruined it. It's kind of like the dyed hair thing. It's like it used to be cool in like the 90s, but they ruined it.
Version of Jean Grey. This is a straight up evil version of Jean Grey. In fact, it's rather frightening that people behind the scenes seem to think that this represents moral ambiguity on any level. Now, let me describe my intentions here. My intentions here are not to take away anyone's experience with the rest of the Spider-Man movie or ruin their enjoyment as such. My intentions here are not to attack any of the actors involved with this who have no say over the story decisions that are being made. And I also can hear the criticism right now that I don't care about Jean Grey. I've never had a reason to care about Jean Grey. Why should I care about this criticism? And what I will say is, number one, I can't blame you if you don't care about Jean Grey, because up to this point, she has not had great representation in films. But this is not merely about the assassination of Jean Grey. Again, this is about how Marvel Studios continuously treats their heroes, especially their female heroes. This is about the horrifying implications about what they are about to do with their last premiere team, their last IP to really exploit the X-Men. And it is about how Marvel Studios, the writers of Marvel Studios, consistently confuse the idea of moral ambiguity with straight up evil. And it needs...
Which is kind of funny to me, because that means the Marvel Studios are just that one guy in your D&D campaign that chooses chaotic neutral. He's that one guy who's like, actually, my character's chaotic neutral. And you're like, no, he's evil. No, he's chaotic neutral. Because, you know, the whole rule is that you're not really supposed to make an evil character. So, but the players still want to be evil. So they make a chaotic neutral character. So technically speaking, some evil actions are allowed. But they don't really do any good actions. They just do evil crap. I read that was like a big moment of both contention and hilarity in the movie Darkness Rises, where the one guy makes a female sorceress, wild maid sorceress, and is a chaotic neutral essentially, but only does evil crap. And eventually at the end, like, no, you're evil, and has the goddess at the end say, okay, I burned away all your evil and replaced it with good. So now, instead of being a chaotic wild mage, you are now a cleric, which I don't think is fair, because you're just forcing a character to be good now as a reward. But it is what happens in the movie. Well, the truth is that Rogue was always a Southern Belle. Goth came later, so the improvement came later. I understand. And sometimes you can't always hit him out of the park at the beginning. Sometimes you have to add on improvements later. I understand. Let's see, Megalathon. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Megalathon. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is a lot louder. What the hell, streaming? I don't think they were that loud before. See, Megalathon says, a WoW video on its future. Well, I'm terminally WoW pilled, so I probably have seen it, but I'm very curious what it is and by who. Also, did you check the Warbriners? You can skip the Sylvanas one in fan fiction. That's weird, because if anything, I would prioritize the Sylvanas one. However, it's kind of like saying I would like another Gargoyles cartoon show. Like, would that, technically speaking, do I want that? Yes, because it was a really good show. Do I want that today with modern day writers? Absolutely not. So I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for Sylvanas. Like, do I want to see some Sylvanas stories? I think they're pretty cool, yeah, technically speaking. But I want to see Sylvanas stories written by modern day simp writers? No. Look, I mean, look what they're doing to Jean Grey. She could do whatever, and people will just simp for her. So I'm pretty sure Sylvanas would do all kinds of crazy nonsense, and people will just like justify it no matter what it is. But thank you very much, Megathon. Yeah, I do have a video on apparently the future of WoW. So check it out. See how it goes. I think we're pretty close now, I think we're pretty close, if not already there.
Needs to be addressed. I think what we need to start off at base, though, is an understanding of who Jean Grey even is in the comics. Because again, I wouldn't blame a lot of people who aren't comic book readers for knowing this character has not had the best representation in movies. Famke Jensen might have been a fine cast, but wasn't really given much material and wasn't accurate to the comics. Sophie Turner was not a good cast, and they kind of retread a lot of the
All right, there we go, Chad. We are at 301. Thank you very much, everyone.
material that ruined Jean Grey in X-Men The Last Stand. So who is Jean Grey in the comics? Jean Grey's origin in the comics is that she's playing with a friend in the street, and that friend goes to catch a frisbee and runs out into the road and is hit by a car. And the shock of seeing her best friend hit by a car makes Jean's telepathic ability manifest. And she reads the very last thoughts of her best friend as she dies. And it's such a traumatic experience that it makes Jean Grey reclude into herself until Charles Xavier comes along and teaches.
You know what's interesting? I've recently found out about a really I guess cool Elseworld story called Age of X or something. And the idea is that there was never any X-Men. I mean, all the characters exist, but Xavier never formed the organization known as the X-Men or the School for Mutants. So essentially what happens is the mutants are being rounded up and hunted down, and it's supposed to be like, oh, who's going to say the mutants? I'm like, who cares? I don't care. I'm on Captain America's side. You know why? Because Captain America is essentially in charge of a strange suicide squad. That's their whole job is to hunt down mutants, and his squad is made up of like the Hulk, who just loves murdering mutants, and also a Tony Stark Iron Man who's just being eaten alive by some virus or something. So it looks very dark and gritty and kind of fun to see these the main characters kind of hunt down mutants. So I was like, wow, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, but I was like, I'll look into that. It'd be kind of cool.
Her how to learn her powers, how to compartmentalize her grief, and how this amazing telepathic ability that she hears everyone's minds, how it can be used for good. Jean has two parents who support her, a sister who does not have powers, I might add, and she eventually joins Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters and becomes one of the first X-Men. In this
Xavier's School for Witchcraft and Wizardry
storyline, I saw someone stealing a panel from it saying that this is a representation of Jean being morally gray because she disobeys Charles Xavier, but the context of that panel is, yes, Jean does disobey Charles within her origin story, but guess what? She disobeys him in order to use her powers to save people. And this
Okay, just because a kid disobeys an adult does not mean she's morally gray. Wait a minute.
Of that panel is, yes. In this storyline, I saw someone stealing a panel from it saying that this is a representation of Jean being morally gray because she disobeys Charles Xavier, but the context of that panel is, yes, Jean does disobey Charles within her origin story, but guess what? She disobeys.
Like, isn't she like a kid? Like, she looks like she's like a girl, like a little kid here. Are you seriously trying to argue that a kid disobeying her father figure makes her morally gray? That's pretty weird. So what is every kid morally gray because they disobey their parents? Like, no. You could be a good person and disobey your parents. It's totally possible. Morally gray is more like they did bad guy stuff for a good reason. She's not doing bad guy stuff for a good reason. She's going out there to save people. Like, morally gray is more like Jack Bauer sometimes. I mean, Jack Bauer is like very, lawful good in a lot of ways, but sometimes Jack Bauer will like torture some guy and like threaten to gouge out his eye with a knife or something like that in order to get information quickly because they only have 24 hours. So that's the thing. That's what makes it morally gray, and it's usually because they're pushed to that outcome. Jack Bauer is probably one of the better examples because he tries to be good. He tries to be lawful good, in fact, but he can't always be that way because of the nature of his business or the nature of his job and the world. But otherwise, he's very noble, the most noble of noble guys. Like, he's pretty much Captain America, but he's more morally ambiguous because he'll do crazy things that Captain America would probably never do. Like the one point where Jack Bauer shoots one of his closest friends because his closest friend was about to shoot a terrorist that they needed, that was on their side. This terrorist was going to like help them take out a even worse, more evil terrorist who had a bomb already. So, but his best friend was this, he was traumatized by past terrorist attacks. So his friend was going to just, after something happened, his friend had enough. Was going to shoot their ally, the temporary ally of this terrorist, who's a temporary ally. And then Jack Bauer had to make the painful decision to, like, he only had a second to act, because if he hesitated for 1 second, either, well, it's not even either. If he hesitated for 1 second, the terrorist guy that they needed was going to die. So he took out his gun and shot his best friend in the head, killed him. And Jack Bauer, like, he was crushed after that. But, like, what choice did he have at the moment? It's a difficult decision, and you have a split second to do it. But he shot one of his closest friends in the head, killing him to save a terrorist that he hated. It's crazy. But that's what we mean by morally gray. All right, morally gray actions. That's what it's supposed to be when good guys do it. It has to be like, do I shoot my best friend in the head to save a terrorist that will help us save millions of lives? All right? That's morally gray. Not, I'm going to disobey my dad so I can save people's lives. That's not morally gray. That's just heroic. And see, Alex Halo looks at the 74 months of support. Accelerator is morally gray, trying to do good and failing. That's one of the other scenarios where it could be like a guy who's so flawed, like he's self-destructive. He tries to do good but fails. That's another one. It's kind of like what I discussed about Demona the other day, where Demona is like that as well, but she doesn't really try to do good. She tries to do things to get back at humans because she blames humans for all her suffering, when really all of her suffering is self-inflicted. It's all her fault, actually.
Obeys him in order to use her powers to save people. And this might give you a little bit of an idea of who Jean Grey is in the comics. Now, Jean is not a perfect character. She does have a bit of a temper. She can be a little bit of a rhymes with witch, if you know what I mean. But one thing I want to put to bed right now is I'm seeing people use panels of Jean Grey out of context to say that the evil version we get in Brand New Day is justified. Out of context panels of Jean going way too far on someone. And I want to give you the context of this.
By the way, they always do this in order to support a push for a narrative. I've seen this happen several times already, where they're trying to push an idea like, oh, this character's actually always been gay, or this character's always been XYZ, and they'll just scour every comic they've ever been in to find some out of context panel to, like, this is the panel, by the way, a panel. So, like, one little picture among, 5 or 6 on one little page of one comic that might be part of a larger story to justify an entire character's being. But that one panel is good enough to support the narrative, but the 9,000 other panels where he's not that way or in a different way is not good enough. All it takes is one panel, I guess. But yeah, they've done this a lot of times. I forgot what exactly the push was, but I've seen this quite a few times where they'll go out and get an out of context panel to, like, say, oh, look, see, it was right. You guys are just fake nerds. You're fake fans. Because otherwise you'd have known about this one obscure panel from this one obscure story. And sometime, I remember one time, I forgot what it was about, but one time I checked it, and other people checked it, I looked into it, and the out of context panel they were using to justify a character being different or a character being XYZ is because it was a panel from an Elseworld story. It wasn't even like a mainstay story. It was an Elseworld story where the character wasn't exactly themselves. So you got to watch out for these people. All right, they're not over, or they're not better than using a out of context panel from a story that's not even in continuity. It's like an Elseworlds or What If story. So they'll just play whatever game they need to play in order to win. So you gotta watch out for that. Let's see, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. The $10 super chat says MCU is capable of writing morally gray female characters. Carly of the Flag Smashers blew up a building of hostages, yet Sam demanded they stop calling them terrorists. Same with Wanda and Jean. Yeah, they don't know exactly what morally gray actually means. They don't. They think, in fact, it's very close to how these D&D guys, like some of the like that guy, that quote unquote that guy is a trope in D&D, how they interpret what morally gray is. To them, morally gray is just being evil. And they're good because they're morally gray and not evil because they don't kill their own teammates, right? It's kind of like that. So morally gray in writing these days in the mainstream is kind of the equivalent of saying that my character's chaotic neutral. Like you want the benefits of being a hero, you want the benefits of not being evil, but you're just evil. You're not morally gray. You're not chaotic neutral. You're just chaotic evil. You're just morally black. So yeah, they don't know how to do that, especially when it comes to female characters. They think that female rage that they have is justifiable to do horrible crap when it's not.
All these panels people are using to justify Jean Grey going overboard are all when she is under the influence of the Phoenix. If you've only seen the Fox movies and you've heard that the Phoenix is some sort of dark, repressed personality with inside Jean Grey, no, that is a lie. That is something that the Fox movies made up, and that also ruined her character. In the comics, the Phoenix is a completely separate cosmic entity from Jean Grey that possesses her. And these out of context panels that people are using to say that Jean Grey really is this terrible person are all when she is under the influence of the Phoenix. But understanding Jean Grey's personality, the reason why, Jean becoming possessed by this dark personality in Dark Phoenix, the reason why that mattered is up to that point, Jean was overall.
To Agile Aardvark says, I think that's a good point, Hildy. They say morally gray when it's just evil, but they don't. Yeah, it's kind of like you get to write an evil character because, by the way, these. If you remember, if you recall, I've talked about it before, a long time ago, for years, in fact, at this point. But they identify with villains. They just outright identify with villains. We saw this with all the way back from when woke started taking over comics, all the way until Acolyte, where the main lead for the project, Leslie Headland, was like, oh yeah, my standing character was the villain. So they really identify with the villains, and it's really strange because why they identify with villains. They say this too. It's not me making it up or making a connection of any sort. They say this. They say that they identify with villains because they're queer coded. Like villains in general are queer, they say. So it's not me. It's the writers, the modern day writers, who are connecting villainy to being queer. It's very weird, very strange, but they've done it. But yeah, when they say morally gray, they just mean evil, and because they want to write evil characters, but they don't want to be seen as villains. That's kind of the conundrum they're facing. Is that they don't want to be seen as villains. They want to be seen as sympathetic. They want to be seen as someone worthy of support. They want to say, oh yeah, well, you were justified in your evil. That's kind of what they want. That's kind of why they want to make chaotic neutral characters. They want to make morally gray characters because they want to have characters that are justified in their evil actions, or that's their hope anyway. Yeah, my character might have committed genocide, but they were mean, and my character was sad. That's why. It's so evil is odd. Yeah, that's what they say. It's not me, it's them. All right, this is Women of Marvel podcast a long time ago. They say that they find heroes boring because they're just good guys, and they find villains interesting because they're queer coded. That's what they said. And and Leslie Headland is a famous lesbian, I guess, at this point, who has a wife and everything, and is like, oh yeah, well my standing character was the bad guy that I wrote, Darth, or what's it called, Smilo Ren, yeah, that guy. Wolfsbane, and they said $10 super chat. Thank you much. No. This is where I know you didn't watch 90s X-Men because Goth Rogue is not an improvement, but an equal to 90s Rogue. Also, 90s She-Hulk was the best depiction of her other than the comics. Because that would I not see. I did not see 90s She-Hulk. Okay, I didn't watch 90s X-Men that much. I watched the beginning. I watched a little bit of the 90s X-Men, but mainly I watched the 2000s X-Men. That's what I'm talking about, the 2000s one. So some of my friends watched I wasn't really a Marvel person in general. Some of the things were cool, but I was a DC guy. I always have been a DC guy over Marvel. So I didn't watch 90s X-Men really. I watched a few episodes. It's like I didn't watch any, but I did watch a few episodes. But mostly my friends just talked about it. And it was apparently really cool. I knew the characters. But I didn't. The X-Men show I ended up watching was like the 2000s. Same thing with He-Man. All right, the He-Man show I ended up watching was not the 80s He-Man. It was the 2000s He-Man. Insane. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure, there's $5 super chats. Is that scene in WandaVision where Monica is telling the director of Sword that Wanda isn't bad because she could have enslaved thousands more? Yeah, it's like that's what I mean. That's what I mean about earlier. It's like you really shouldn't get credit for not doing evil, because otherwise they should be giving a lot more credit to men, because that's kind of what Jordan Peterson said, right? You should be, as a man, you should be a monster, but a controlled monster. So if men get to benefit from the same general idea, then every evil that a man does not commit, that he's capable of committing, he should get credit for, right? So if I go into a place and I can beat up like every guy in that place, hypothetically speaking, but I choose not to, I get 40 wins, right? That should count for me. No, it doesn't. They're not going to give men that level of benefit of the doubt. There's not. But women get that. Oh, they never know what you sacrificed because you chose not to be evil. You chose not to destroy the world. So that's not even an exaggeration. That seems to be what these writers think, is that this woman not using her full power and killing people and taking over the world and forcing her wants and needs and desires upon the world is a favor to us. That she would be justified in doing all that stuff because she's that level powerful, but it's a favor to us that she doesn't. That's kind of how they think, I think. Which again is like the equivalent of like a guy getting all kinds of credit and being worshipped as a hero because he's capable of beating up other people, but chooses not to. So guys don't get that benefit, but female characters obviously do. Let's see. Cards Ignorance says it was worth the £50 just for him to not spend too much time on She-Hulk. That was an appalling piece of trash. I mean, you mean the show from Disney Plus? Yeah. Oh man, I only saw a little bit of it. It was just every piece of it was just cringe, absolute cringe.
Kindest, empathetic character amongst the team. She was, dare I say it, the mom of the team. The grounding, soft force that helped pull together all of these incredible.
By the way, that's how she was in the original Stan Lee comic as well. Now she obviously was expanded upon in the Chris Claremont era, but right from comic book 1 of Stan Lee's X-Men, she was kind of like the central character. She was like Team Mom. She was very like a kind of mature. She's very like level-headed. When Beast kind of put his hands on her, she's like got a little too handsy. She didn't freak out. She didn't like kill him or anything. And like, oh my goodness, popped him like a balloon with her psychic abilities. She's like, hold on, guys, I can handle this. And then she just handles it on her own. She was very level-headed in that comic. And so that's kind of what I imagine her character to be, and a good character to be for a female character especially. You don't have to like be girl boss. You don't have to freak out and start killing people. You can be as level-headed as any man. It's actually a good factor, a good quality.
Incredibly strong personalities, the perfect foil for Scott Summers. To see her possessed by an evil, out-of-control entity was heartbreaking. And in the end of the original Dark Phoenix story, just to tell you who Jane Grey is, she lets herself die, rejecting the notion of becoming a god melded with the Dark Phoenix, because that is who she is. That is what you need to understand.
So, is the Dark Phoenix kind of like Parallax? Like when Hal Jordan went evil, right? He got parallaxed. I got parallaxed up, and so it wasn't actually his fault. It was some ancient entity that was evil, actually, right? So it kind of feels parallel to Parallax.
About who Jean Grey in the comics is as a character. Now, let's go into how they depicted this character within the film. Full spoilers now, but in the film, Jean Grey has been changed to a character who was abandoned by her parents, who doesn't have a mentor, whose, only friend is her sister, who is kidnapped, and as we find out later in the film, is killed by Experience. But this is an important thing to note. Jean does not find out that her sister is killed until the end of the film. Important, put a pin in that. Jean does not know that her sister has been killed until the end of the film. Now, that alone has made people want to justify this more morally ambiguous.
It's a concept nurses. Yeah, I meant the show, and part of when she humiliates Bruce Banner was just so cringe. Yeah, I mean, people are just put off by that alone, because this is not just a version of the Hulk. This is the MCU's Hulk that we've seen him go through all kinds of things, and so when we have like this MCU Hulk being talked down to by this lady who's complaining about catcalling, meanwhile this guy has been exiled by his family. He had to be exiled from everyone he's ever cared about. He tried to commit suicide a few times, and basically was just like a hopeless mess, trapped in a life that he didn't want to live anymore, because he could destroy everything around him at any moment if he got too angry. It's like that guy. That guy's entire life, all of his pain was dismissed because the She-Hulk was catcalled a few times. It's like, wow, man, that's not really the same at all. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure, the says that elderly man being mind controlled into traffic is either dead or he's permanently handicapped for life. Yeah, Gene Defenders claim he's fine. They either think he's fine. He's fine, and if he's not, he deserved it. That's exactly what's the defense of that is. He's fine. That guy that got hit so hard, that old man that got hit so hard, he flipped over the car. He's fine, and if he isn't, he deserved it. They just skip a bunch of steps in the narcissist's prayer. Like, it didn't happen. She didn't kill him, and if she did, he deserved it.
This version of Jean Grey, who only does things for the most understandable, sympathetic reasons, right? I am about to tell you no. And again, doing something different from the comics is one thing, but doing something so much worse than the comics, which is what this is another. Now, here I go detailing all of this character's actions in this film and why it's so heinous. What we first see Jean Grey do as she's trying to attack Damage Control to get to her sister is she has mind controlled this innocent janitor lady to drive a tank recklessly through town somehow, wreaking havoc as it goes. First of all, there is no way during this rampage that someone wouldn't be hurt or killed somehow. And I just want people to remember that. But as we go forward, I want to focus on the major power that they keep making Jean Grey use in this movie, and that is this mind hopping. Now, interestingly, Jean typically does not use this mind hopping power so much where she's puppeteering people in the comics. And it's probably because both the writers and the characters understand how awful this actually is. Jean in this movie keeps taking over people's minds again. And what this is, it's violating people.
As I can tell that Jezebel is actually a fan, because you don't really get this level of passion unless you actually are a fan of something. Right? It's kind of why no one is really woke when it comes to something they actually care about. So it's hard to hide the passion, and it's hard to fake the passion. So this is kind of why if you don't actually care about something, it's really easy to be woke about it. But if you do care about something, it's really tough to be woke about it.
It's taking away their autonomy. It's getting them to act completely against their knowledge and will.
Was that Project Hail Mary? Do you really like that movie that much? How good of a movie is this? Project Hail Mary. Is it like that phenomenal?
Oftentimes to hurt other people and to hurt themselves. And we will see her use this power again and again and again. But once again, she is violating people here. And not just the damage control agents, but innocent people like this janitor lady that she harms as she's mind control.
I really liked Gambit when I was a kid. I didn't read Marvel comics. I read DC comics, if anything. Until I found the point in which I started reading Marvel comics is the point I discovered the Punisher. The Punisher is why I read any level of Marvel comics, including some Spider-Man issues, because the Punisher made his debut in a Spider-Man issue. So that kind of got me a little bit into Spider-Man, for a little bit, not too much. But I really got into Marvel comics mainly because of the Punisher, and I kind of explored the world of Marvel through the Punisher, because I like the Punisher quite a bit, especially because I discovered Punisher during high school, and when you're in high school, you're a different person. That's kind of what happens. Like you grow up one person, and then you get injected with hormones because you're going through puberty and crap, and you're going through a lot of stuff emotionally through high school. And then after that, you kind of mellow out and go back to your normality. So, I was in my edgy phase and I liked the Punisher, but then I discovered Garth Ennis's Punisher, which I liked a lot. Garth Ennis's Punisher was fantastic, but my friends had X-Men games. I didn't, because I didn't buy X-Men games. But they had X-Men games, and I was like, man, Gambit is cool. Like, he throws explosive cards. That's awesome. Let's see. Ghost Ghost says Project Hail Mary is legit one of the best movies ever seen in the last 5 years. LD, I give it a try, I guess, because I heard it was like kind of grounded sci-fi, which is not really my cup of tea usually. Not usually. Grounded sci-fi is not really something I look into, but I might, because I heard it's really good. I heard it's really, really good. But yeah, I like Gambit as a kid. Because I thought it was really cool. I know he was Cajun. I know he was like from New Orleans. I just knew he was like the guy that threw explosive playing cards and could like make pretty much anything explosive. It was pretty awesome.
And puppeteering her to recklessly drive this tank through town, which definitely would have got people hurt or killed. And it should be noted how much pleasure Jean Grey takes in doing this, as there's always this like smirk on her face as she's puppeteering these various characters and speaking through them. That's what we see in the opening that Jean Grey does. The next time we see her, she's puppeteering yet another character, the Scorpion, once again with that same condescending attitude and sadistic smirk on her face as she puppeteers people. And now Scorpion is a criminal, but he is acting here.
Yeah, if you want to have your character be sympathetic in any way, or have any hope of being sympathetic, don't have them take pleasure in torturing people. This is kind of why I couldn't buy Pegasus and Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a sympathetic character all of a sudden. He took way too much pleasure in messing with people's minds and hearts and souls. It wasn't like Pegasus was going, oh, I hate doing this, but I have to rescue my dear Cecilia. He was like loving torturing people. He was loving it all. He was loving doing all these horrendous things, psychologically torturing people. He took sadistic glee in it. So, it's like, okay, well, Pegasus might have had a sympathetic motivation, but he was freaking evil. There was no excuse for that.
Against his will. And as he's acting against his will, he is made to fight Spider-Man. And at one point, Spider-Man's powers go crazy, and all of a sudden, he doesn't have control of himself, and he nearly beats the Scorpion to a bloody pulp, where the Scorpion finally wakes up and has no idea what has happened to him. So this is another time when Jean Grey has violated a person's mind and forced them to do things against their will and use them as a meat puppet to get beaten to a bloody pulp by one of the people in her way. Once again, consistently heinous acts of violating people, and definitely these are acts that would have gotten people killed. But I think people will use the excuse here that we didn't actually out and out see people get killed, even though we've definitely seen people get hurt by Jean Grey's actions so far. But then there comes this scene, because apparently Jean Grey, and this character is not Jean Grey, has gotten pretty angry that Spider-Man keeps trying to get in her way to what she wants, even though Peter has no understanding of what exactly she is after. So Jean Grey herself personally goes to Spider-Man and starts talking to him by once again taking away people's autonomy, taking over people's minds, and having them do things against their will. She does this in order so she can threaten Peter Parker's ex-girlfriend, one who I might add has nothing to do with any of this, but it's someone she recognized Peter still cares about, so she threatens her in order to...
Project Hail Mary is the same as The Martian in the sense that it is science fiction instead of sci-fi. Also different from hard sci-fi like The Expanse, grounded and possible. Yeah, I respect grounded sci-fi. I just don't really like it that much. It's not usually very interesting to me. Not usually. I mean, sometimes it might be, especially when there's like certain mood, I guess. But yeah, I'll check it out. I know The Martian is also supposed to be pretty good.
To hurt Peter. Once again, she does this through violating people's psyche and getting them to do things against their will. And as we see in this scene, she takes control of an innocent man and makes him walk in front of moving traffic, and he gets killed.
If you touch her, I start swinging. I'm fast. If you touch her, I start swinging.
Let me repeat that. Jean Grey in this movie takes over an innocent man's mind, a man who probably had his own life up to this point, his own family, who knows, the rest of his life ahead of him. This man randomly on the street who has nothing to do with her conflict with Spider-Man.
Let's see. Shadow Jones says, saw and wrote about this video already. Should get my day started. Have a great one, LD in chat. Well, have a great one to you as well, Shadowwing Tronics. Fantastic. It's I don't want to be evil. I want to be good. Yeah, usually people want to do that. It's good. It always brings you back to the whole Baldur's Gate 3 thing, where the Baldur's Gate 3 launches, right, and everyone's a paladin. People want to be good people. This is why it's so weird when we see these supposed heroes act in a villainous manner, or we find out that this sadistic asshole was misunderstood, or we're supposed to feel sorry for them or something. Like, no. At this point, let's let Castle shoot Jean Grey. Let's let Castle put her down. It'll make a world of difference. It's a Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. The Final Chances people are also trying to deflect from Jean's actions by bringing up original Loki's redemption arc. They forget that Loki was in prison on Asgard. He got punished a few times. Like, they wanted to punish him. He was punished. He wasn't just excused because he was sad, which is kind of what they're doing with both Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey. So, they're like, okay, you were sad when you did, so you get to be excused from all of your actions. Meanwhile, Loki, part of Loki's redemption arc was being punished, was either having to fake his death or being imprisoned or something like that. So, and he was on the run, he was actually he was being looked for. He was a bad guy. He was treated like a bad guy. So the whole idea that to compare Loki with Jean Grey, it's okay, then Jean Grey should go to jail and be punished and be seen as a villain, because Loki was seen as a villain even by the movie standards. No one was trying to excuse Loki en masse for his actions just because he was sad or lonely or felt isolated from his dad or something like that, or felt overlooked by his dad. No one was trying to say this is okay, all the crap that he's done is okay. And if they did, they were wrong, obviously, even by the movie standards.
And with damage control, he is not in her way or has harmed her in any way whatsoever. She takes control of this random guy's mind, violates his psyche, takes away his autonomy, and forces him to unalive himself in traffic. I was so shocked that they did this, that they went this far, that there is no ambiguity, that Jean Grey is intentionally...
Also, I want to point out that people have, they say they saw the guy at the end of the movie, oh, look, he's alive. Is he? Or did they just kind of collect up his corpse and put him in a chair, Weekend at Bernie's style?
Killing innocent people here, that in order to enjoy the rest of the film, I had to absolutely turn my brain off. And for the people who are trying to gloss over this or ignore it, maybe I don't blame you, because the movie does. It doesn't even have Peter Parker react to that. It just moves on and glosses over it. But at this point, they have out and out made Jean Grey an outright killer, as well as a violator of people's minds. I'm going...
I just keep using the word violent, but it's true. She was effectively mind raping people.
To use the word that actually describes what Jean Grey is doing to people, she is mind graping people. I'm only using the word grape, for YouTube reasons and all.
Yeah, because today's internet, we can't talk like adults about adult topics, like violations of this level. We gotta talk like children for some reason.
All that, but yeah, Jean Grey is mind-graping people. She is taking away their autonomy. She is violating them and making them do things, harmful things, even to themselves, and even lethal things against their will. And she does this here. Why? Was this man in her way? Was Peter Parker trying to...
Obviously, just about he deserved it, because she dove into his mind against his will, and then was able to see his entire life. So obviously, she made him die because he deserved it.
Fight her at that time? No, she literally does it as a way, I suppose, to flaunt her power and taunt Peter Parker all the time while she is threatening his girlfriend that isn't even together with him anymore and has nothing to do with this. All because she is angry with Peter and wants to be cruel to him. Once again, the irony coming from a character whose powers originally manifested because her friend got hit by a car. But it gets even worse. I have referred to what Jean Grey keeps doing to people, the only power that they've decided to truly emphasize in this movie. I've referred to it as a form of mind grape. And while I've just referred to that before, the next thing we see from Jean Grey, she is literally going to do that. She is literally going to use her powers to assault people. What we see next is because Jean Grey, who has established herself as a total cold-hearted murderer at this point, Peter Parker goes to rescue MJ to make sure that Jean won't get to her next. And they meet aboard a rooftop. And all of a sudden, MJ appears that she really maybe is starting to remember Peter Parker. And she actually outright says it. And she kisses him, only to have it be revealed that it is actually Jean Grey puppeteering MJ to get Peter Parker to think that they're back together in order to once again be cruel to him. Now, Peter at this point tells Jean Grey that she is straight up evil. And she is. And she's got this horrible smirk on her face. And I'll tell you
smirk alert
again, the smirk on her face consistently throughout this movie, it tells me something about this version of Jean Grey. A smile when you are doing evil, cruel things tells me you are a sadist. You enjoy doing cruel things.
I love that I was right about the smirk thing, and then now not everyone knows. Now everyone knows. Everyone is caught on to the smirk. I got a huge backlash for that, for pointing out that it's all about the smirk. All right, the SJW thing. It's SJW because of the smirk. I was right. I was 100%, 102% right. We got a huge backlash from that. It was pretty funny.
You take pleasure in it. So Jean Grey is an out-and-out sadist in this movie who takes pleasure in being cruel to other people. But it is worse than that. Jean Grey has effectively used her powers to commit assault in this context. Michelle Jones has no control over herself, and she forces and puppeteers Michelle, who doesn't know Peter Parker at this point, to kiss him against her will. And as for Peter Parker, he is unaware that this is not MJ talking to him, and he kisses her unknowing that it is actually Jean Grey puppeteering her. So this is a moment where Jean Grey has puppeteered it so that two people are kissing each other without their consent. She is forcing MJ to kiss Peter without her consent. And before you want to gloss over this too, even the movie recognizes it, because later in the film, Peter makes sure to bring it up to MJ that he didn't understand she was under mind control and that she kissed him without her knowledge or consent. Because this is important to him because he cares about MJ. So again, Jean Grey used her powers to commit assault here, which is again a big irony because this was forced upon the character in the comics. In the comics, the character...
But it's okay because she's quirky. I assume that's why it's okay, because she's quirky.
Jason Wingard, mind grape.
She's quirky evil. It should be like, lawful good, lawful evil, quirky evil. There's a fourth measurement. All right, you got lawful, neutral, chaotic, and quirky. I'm not lawful good. I'm quirky good.
Jean Grey into thinking that they were lovers. And this, again, was, said without saying, this was an assault against Jean Grey. And it's actually what influenced the Phoenix to transform into a Dark Phoenix when she snapped out of it. So you've got a character who was a victim of this in the comics, and now you're making her use her powers to assault other people and get them to do things unconsensually. But then the scene continues and it gets even worse. Once again, Jean Grey at this point is constantly depicted as this smirking, cruel character who at this point, she really has no reason to do this to Peter other than to be cruel to him. And she's taking pleasure in every moment. And she mind controls and possesses MJ to walk off a building and get herself murdered just like she did to that man who she made walk into traffic. And if Peter hadn't saved the day in the nick of time or caught MJ in just the right manner, as we've seen that sometimes you can catch someone in the wrong manner with Gwen Stacy, then MJ would have straight up died. Jean, 1000%, had intent to kill MJ, a girl who had nothing.
And see, Dr. Azil says, out topic, what do you think about, what do you think they are going to how they're going to fumble with Dr. Doom? I think so far, for what I've seen from the trailers, they're making him really powerful. But because it's Robert Downey Jr., I feel like they are going to put a lot of emphasis in making him really sympathetic for some reason, somehow. They did that with Thanos, where it's oh yeah, Thanos lost all of his family or whatever because of shortage of resources. And so that's why he went on this mad quest to get all the resources and then, double or have the number of people in the galaxy or the universe or something. They did that with Thanos. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to double down with that mentality with Doctor Doom, with Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom. I feel like that's going to be the case. And it's going to be super cringe. Like, it's not going to be reasonable. It's going to be super cringe. And we're going to feel bad for Doctor Doom. And we're like, oh, well, it's going to be complex because he's justified, really. If you think about it, something like that. It's going to be something cringe like that. That's what I think. Going by the previous patterns of how villains have been predicted or depicted.
Nothing to do with her grievances, all to be cruel to Peter Parker. Am I supposed to sympathize with this character no matter what kind of backstory or sob story she has at this point? Am I supposed to see her actions as at all morally gray or ambiguous? Where is the gray area here? So after Peter Parker puts MJ in hiding from this absolute monstrous psychopathic teenage girl that he's encountered, this is the next offense by Jean Grey. She keeps doing these random things that I don't even understand to try to get through to damage control and get what she wants. Really, all she needed to do is read the mind of William Metzger, who she is in the vicinity of multiple times, but for some reason she doesn't. She doesn't need to do all this random disastrous puppeteering stuff, but the next thing she does is she influences the mind of Bruce Banner, who has had a good life up to this time, finally with control of the Hulk, and she does everything she can to upset him and manipulate his mind so that his worst fear comes true again, and he blows up into the Hulk and starts wreaking destruction against his will. Now, this is another point where maybe people are going to create the excuse that, was anyone really injured during this? Was anyone killed? First of all, there's so much destruction here and debris falling that definitely people would have been killed or at least injured. But even regardless of that, Jean Grey, as she's making the Hulk blow up, she doesn't know that there's any possible way he isn't going to get someone killed as he does this. The Hulk has leveled cities before. She would also know that entering his mind, which she shows no sympathy for him whatsoever. So even with any sort of excuse you have,
You can't really excuse her actions by saying, well, no one got hurt. Okay. Well, what if you drive drunk and you drive recklessly and you kind of like, I don't know, drive through a house and then you drive through like some stop signs and stuff like that. You topple a power line or something, but you didn't hurt anybody. Like, no one got hurt during all that. You think the cops were like, well, no one was hurt, so you're free to go. No, you're still going to jail. That's ridiculous. Like, oh, well, no one was hurt. Yeah, but she caused it. Like, she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to take over the mind of the Hulk and return him to being the Hulk. That's just straight up evil. So, like, you don't just get away scot-free because no one was hurt. You still committed a crime. It's still evil.
For it, Jean has no way of knowing that people were good.
Dr. Rutherford says, a good morning, LD and Bez Chat. I did assist my first surgery. Oh, nice. Who knew the intestine can make so much poo? Yeah, it's a wonder, yeah.
Gonna likely get killed or injured in this rampage because that is what has happened before.
And guys, the Thanos was the hero all along. That's what literally went that way. So, going by what they did to Thanos and now going by the way they did to Jean Grey, where they made her straight up evil, but somehow we're supposed to forgive her and feel sorry for her. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that to Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. And they're gonna mishandle that. And it's gonna be really cringe.
But she still does it anyway. Once again, what could possibly make me sympathetic for this character or see her actions as morally gray? Then she hurts the damage control people and shoots them in the leg. Now, she didn't murder them, but they're definitely going to be crippled for life, and you can get other life-altering injuries by being shot in the leg. They might never be the same again. Moving on, though, this monstrous psychopathic Jean Grey, who's been mind-graping people, making them do harmful things, including hurting and unaliving themselves against their will, committing assault through the tank rampage and the Hulk rampage. There's no way that people weren't injured and killed during all of that. After all this time, she's finally in custody, and we can find out why she's doing this and why we should have sympathy for her, I guess. We hear that the reason why Jean Grey has been doing all of the heinous things, including murdering innocent people who weren't even in her way, is because her sister had been kidnapped by damage control, and she was trying to rescue her, and her sister is...
I don't care. This, it's like, again, it's like the same house episode. I usually kind of go in and talk about the death row prisoner house episode. And it's like Foreman hates him because you succumb to your temptations, but then Foreman's like, I forgive you because you were sick. But there's also another instance, right, where in that same episode, the guy who's a multiple murderer says like, yeah, I had to raise my little brother on my own. Like I became his dad. And you think Foreman would be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But instead, Foreman's like, yeah, you're a multiple murderer. I don't really think that that you get an excuse because you made mac and cheese the way he wants. Like, Foreman is so base sometimes. I really like Foreman as a character. He's really good in House. He's so based. But that's kind of what happens. That's kind of what it is. Like, yeah, you mind raped dozens of people. You caused countless amounts of, like, money wise, countless damage. People are dead. People are crippled. You mind rape people into like mental breakdowns, like the Hulk. I guess for some reason I'm not really overlooking all that because you wanted to save your sister. All right, you didn't have to. First of all, you didn't have to do that. Second of all, you didn't have to do that with a sadistic smirk of glee on your face. Pretty sure that was not required to save your sister.
All she has in the world after she's been hounded for this ability and her parents abandon her in this version. And what we find out is in the experiments for damage control, her sister Sarah Gray was murdered. And this makes Jean Grey explode even more. Now, before we get further into what happens in the story...
It's a Curling Butterfly. Thanks for the one gifted membership. Thank you much, Curling Butterfly. Very much appreciated.
Nice!
It's a thank you very much. Thank you very much. Welcome to the new members of the Legion of the past shows and the custom emojis. Thank you very much.
This is what people will say is the big sympathetic sob story that makes Jean Grey's actions in this movie either completely justified or simply morally gray. Complex, right? And I'm here to tell you wrong. First of all, Jean Grey did not know her sister.
It's because you think you might have a good reason to do something evil does not mean it's morally gray. If you do something evil and you take sadistic glee into doing evil things, then that's pretty evil. It's not morally gray. It's pretty evil. Also, you're not really going to be getting any good points really when you're like, okay, well, I did one bad thing, so I can do one good thing. So if I did one good thing, I could do another bad thing, right? No, can't.
Sister had been killed until up to this point. And even then, she was still doing all this stuff. She was still getting dozens of innocent people killed, whether it's making people walk in front of cars, making people walk off of buildings, or all the people she would have incidentally gotten killed during the Tank and Hulk rampage. Not to mention the innocent people who she had injured themselves or get injured as she's mind raping them. Not to mention the assault on Peter and MJ. She was still doing all of this without the knowledge of her sister being killed. She just thought she was kidnapped. And I want to say...
Anyway, chat. Anyway, that's good enough. That's a long video. It's a long video. We might finish it later. But I want to go over this as well. Because this is also a huge factor in today's media. Ugly maxing. They don't really like to put in attractive women in movies anymore or comic books anymore. I mean, they do. They got better at it now because, there's been a huge pushback and they need sales. So, like, okay, well, they'll begrudgingly put in a attractive female character and it's like a favor to us that they did it one time or something. But, yeah, everywhere else, it's like they're trying to really push ugliness and hideousness. It's kind of why we see, like, some of these characters who are played by beautiful actresses, but in the movie, they're put in potato sacks and stuff. Anyway.
Is a real thing. It is observable and noticeable. Beauty is not infinity plastic surgery procedures or 10 pounds of drag queen makeup so you look just like that one TikTok filter. Beauty is not quadruple D cups on an anime girl with the face of an 11-year-old. It's not a half-naked model. It's not subversive anti-fashion. Beauty is not a fashion trend at all. It's not a popular system of visuals. Beauty is not being morbidly obese and dying at age 30 because you convinced yourself that it was fat positive. Beauty is not going out of your way to be as seductive and sexual as possible. This video isn't really going to get into the subsurface aspects of beauty, although that's really, really important. What's interesting to me, and what we're going to spend the bulk of our time on, is the aesthetics of beauty. This is important because aesthetics are a lot more significant than people realize. I'm not saying how you look is more important than your character, of course not. I am saying that the aesthetics that you present personally or that are presented to you in media contribute to your sense of reality, your mood, and so on. Even, yes, your character. In much the same way, how human beauty is presented to you by a piece of media tells you what that media's creators think is beautiful. So, as a basic example, if every woman in a video game is wearing dental floss and little boob pasties, that tells you that the writer who put together that story prioritizes an extreme sexual ideal. That is, the person only views someone as aesthetically pleasing if they feel the desire to have sex with them. So even if the characters are pleasant to look at to some degree or in some way, like maybe just the face or the hair or something, that doesn't change the fact that the game maker's sense of beauty is warped and disordered. Going in the other direction, if every woman and or man in a movie or a TV show or a video game is aggressively ugly, deliberately so, that suggests that the storytellers dislike basic beauty and want to elevate ugliness, especially female ugliness. Why? We'll get to that. This becomes more noticeable when previously ordinary-looking characters like Alloy are randomly redesigned to make her less beautiful. And she's not...
That was the big one. I did have the original one, the original Horizon Zero Dawn, and yeah, it's very noticeable. Alloy was like a nice-looking lady, and then the new game comes around, she's just all of a sudden Nikocado Avocado. What the hell? Like, no, man, you can't. And they're trying. They're outright say that they're kind of fighting the male gaze, right? They don't like the male gaze. I mean, for some reason, men need to. It's really is a womanly kind of attack because women will just they punish people by taking things away. So it's like, oh wait, we got to take away beauty from men for some reason. I don't know why, but they felt that they needed to do that. It's Adam Price says that was always a politics for the ugly actors. Yeah, it's like what was it? What do you say? What was it? Rush Limbaugh said it. Feminism is a way for ugly women to get into public life. And now they got into public life and they got everywhere. So now they're making all the female characters ugly.
The only one.
And they're all about the new normal. So they're trying to make ugly the new normal. So they don't have to change. The world has to change. And where have you seen that before? Oh, yeah. Their favorite character arc. The favorite character arc they'd like to make. It wasn't me that needs to change. It's the world that needs to change by recognizing how awesome I already am. You see, when it comes down to it, it all connects. It all connects together.
Alarming and dramatic transformations occur all the time these days. Why is this being done? Are we really supposed to believe that it's random, incidental, accidental? Yes, some things are subjective in all aspects of art. Watercolor painting, realism, expressionism, classical language, modernist language, metered rhyming poetry, free verse. Or, if you'd like, blonde, brunette, redhead, tall, short, three-piece suit, English cut, American cut, beard.
By the way, blonde, brunette, and redhead is a trope. It's like the ideal hair color for a female trio. I think it's called it's referred to like Neapolitan or whatever. But yeah, usually if you have a female trio of people, you usually want one to be blonde, one to be brunette, and one to be a redhead. It's basically a trope. It's actually an actual trope.
No beard, red lipstick, no lipstick, and on and on and on. These are incidentals. You could almost call them accessories to beauty, which are interchangeable decorations on the core objective presence in the thing or person of beauty. This fading, declining presence of beauty is noticeable across all mediums, from architecture, where ugliness has been the norm for decades now, to the changing styles of actors and actresses, to the subject matter of celebrated novels, to the art that decorates our so-called art museums. Beauty used to be an everyday part of life and society. Beautiful buildings, beautiful art, beautiful people, the constant effort to maintain healthy, genuine beauty, and the firm understanding of how true beauty benefits society.
How'd it get lower? How's it keep? No, let me see here. Let me change it to. Let me see if the audio settings. No, the audio settings are off. Uh, the automatic adjustment of my microphone is off. So I don't see how I'm getting lower. I guess it's something else, and I'm maxed out on everything. I don't know how I'm so low. I don't know what changed, but I am maxed out on everything, every avenue. It's classic for a reason. Yeah, because back, for a long time in human history, it was all about rewarding those with merits. It's all about rewarding people who do well, who work hard, who achieve what other people do not. It's all about the people rewarding those who study hard, who are talented, who are gifted, whatever it might be. But now that's offensive, because why does that guy get to be talented? I want to be talented, and so we have to coddle to that person. And what the result of that is, we now have to bring the lowest common denominator up to average. That's kind of the new average. But also, we can't have below average, because everyone is unique in their own special way. So those who work hard, those who study hard, work hard, are talented or skilled or dedicate themselves to a craft, are not rewarded, and they're left behind, so that we can cater to the feelings of those who don't do any of that, who kind of just go home and do the bare minimum, and like, oh, why am I not getting accolades? Why am I seen as being left behind? Why am I being left behind by society? Because society has always required you to work. It's always required you to be part of it, to participate in it, to help out with it. But today is like, oh, I don't want to study. I don't want to do any of the homework. I want to skip class and do nothing, but I also want to pass. And so these people are being taken care of and coddled to, and then the people who do more, who overachieve, are being left behind now. Not a very good system.
This all used to be understood by regular people and was represented daily in the art and the stories that used to be the norm. Beauty was normal. We, in our exceedingly progressive society, have moved past.
Also, she is very loud. This is a very loud video.
Such backwards and barbaric thinking. People no longer understand the relationship between physical appearance and internal character. They no longer appreciate or admire beauty, but they choose to shun it. If someone is pursuing health or genuine beauty, that person is problematic. Just look at the way Adele and Rebel Wilson were condemned for trying to lose weight to be more healthy. Meanwhile, Sam Smith is praised for, I don't even know. Nowadays, we see a growing aversion to beauty. The attitude by which lasting beauty is even pursued is extinct. People don't build buildings to be admired for generations. People don't write books to enrich their civilization. Beyond that, actresses, models, and influencers are busily pushing this weird notion of so-called authenticity, by which they present ever-increasing levels of bizarreness and ugliness in an open fight against beauty. Meanwhile, pursuing beauty is now seen as controversial. Even fitness videos are now something that can be reported on social media as harmful. And true feminine physical beauty is being condemned as somehow racist or patriarchal. Or, I don't know, it's probably fascist too. Some books and movies are being made specifically to highlight or showcase ugliness, particularly both in appearance and in behavior. This is being done, ostensibly, in the pursuit of realism or as a way to explore taboo subjects or dark themes or whatever. The fact remains that they are ugly, and they are not being presented as ugly. They are being placed on the pedestals where beauty used to be. Styles of dress and haircuts that are deliberately unpleasant to look at are growing in popularity, from the deliberately creepy look that is one of the trends with young men, or the shaved heads or wolf cuts of young women. Not that I'm casting aspersions on a person's particular tastes, but I have been told that these styles, particularly the shaved heads and wolf cuts on women, are being done by them specifically because they think these styles...
And the wolf cut is okay. I kind of like it. So it's fine. But it's the bald head. Like, they really like the bald head. I don't know. I'm not even sure if that's like because of Jada Pinkett Smith, and she's like setting the trend for bald-headed women. But yeah, they like to shave all. Okay, the new thing is for women to shave off all their hair. It's like thing is, long hair. Women have long hair because it's like an indicator of their health, and so that's why women kind of just naturally take care of their hair, and like they want to look shiny and gleaming and looks healthy, so that you could look like a healthy woman. So men are really attracted to long hair for that reason. Okay, so when they want to battle the male gaze and they want to go to war against men, part of it is cutting off the hair. It's a big part of it. So it is targeted justification. It's targeted uglification. They cut off the hair because that's supposed to be taking away something from men. Like men can no longer look at your hair and like it and find pleasure in it. So that's the idea. That's what uglification has been surrounding. It's a battle against the male gaze, which is really strange. And I'm not really sure why there needs to be a battle against the male gaze, other than a lot of women who are in the industry are very, very, very insecure. That's about it. It's a
styles are the opposite of beautiful. Face tattoos.
Chronic Ketchup says, I was mostly being facetious, but at the same time, Nike is isolated for lack of a better term. I don't see it overlap with other media at least. Like the same time Nike, like the shoe. Are you talking about the goddess of victory?
Ugly, unwashed hair, deliberately off-putting accessories, or other fashion choices have all become more and more commonplace. We have entered an era where ugliness is the actual goal. Alongside that, we also have an overwhelming uptick in alarming levels of artificiality. The most common makeup style I see in the wild is something I've come to call the drag queen special. Makeup on a woman that is so overdone that it makes her look like a drag queen. In my area, that is literature, the deliberate ugliness has pervaded the popular works, or even the idea of what is compelling. Writers like Otessa Moshfegh and even Sally Rooney have become famous for writing characters who are insistently ugly, and by focusing the narrative on the ugliest aspects of these characters' personalities. Some reviewers, predictably, commend Moshfegh for her quote-unquote realism. But is it true that something can only be real when all the beauty has been removed from it? Some have said, oh, well, it's authentic. I want you to draw a circle around that word, authentic. We're going to come back to that. Meanwhile, many out there seem to be trying to, for lack of a better
man, who else talks about the importance of authenticity and perceived authenticity? Interesting. Oh yeah, I do. It's a big issue. It's a huge issue because wokeness is all about artificiality. Wokeness is all about being fake, right? That's why you can kind of, on an instinctual level, see a movie and pick up that it's woke because it sanitizes the humanity right the hell out of it. Now, it might seem human because they learn how to mimic some levels of humanity to deceive real humans, but the reality is it's not human because wokeness is inhuman. Wokeness is anti-human. So they'll have like everyone will, they might curse and they're very porn-brained and weird, but the thing is, at the end of the day, they're all sanitized. It's like somehow mixtape is supposed to be in the 90s or 80s, but it's very, very sanitized. Like no one curses, no one says, any slurs, any improper slurs. Everyone is just okay with everyone. No one's homosexual. No one is homophobic like they would be. That was like a big thing. There's no casual racism, like racist jokes or anything. That's why when Rags printed the Nazi flag on there, that was a thing in the 90s. That was a rebel thing in the 90s to have a Nazi flag. I mean, Marilyn Manson had Nazi paraphernalia as an act of rebellion against the mainstream. So back there's like they'll have these moments of like cringy moments of possible humanity, of rebellion, like I can skateboard where I'm not supposed to skateboard. I can TP my principal's house. I can mix the slushes at the mall, but I'll never be rude, right? I'll never drop a slur, right? It's kind of like that. So and if there is a person who's like this normal human being, like a normal human being, they'll just cut him out because that's offensive. His humanity to them is offensive. So authenticity, they try to be authentic. They try to mimic authenticity by having someone dress normally or look casual or something, or curse every other word, and like just talk about pornography, which they do a lot, by the way, in mixtape. But really, humanity is everything. It's why safe edgy is such a thing, because safe edgy is how these people mimic humanity. They'll be completely sanitized, completely corporate sanitized, I mean, but they'll mimic human behavior by cursing a few times and talking about their kinks and fetishes. But they'll never be rude. They'll never be transphobic. They'll be homophobic. They'll be racist. And it's like, well, is that humanity? No, it's not the entirety of humanity. This is why people. I think this is why people like uh, characters and stories and movies that come out where there is a homophobic character, there is a transphobic character, there's a character who just like kind of lays down the law, in their own opinions, because that means humanity's allowed. It's a symbol that humanity is allowed in this movie or the story. Is that all of humanity? No, but it's part of it. It's part of it. So you can't cut off an entire portion of humanity and think that you're going to come off as human or normal or, more to the point, authentic. So authenticity, when someone speaks corporate, you go onto a video and the guy is just very smiley, very corporate, he's always positive, and he might give a few negatives, but they're like very sanitized negatives. Like they're not really a big deal. They don't really hit to the heart. Like there's no mainstream critic that's like the critic from Ratatouille, right? There's no like really harsh level of critic that they'll just like kill a guy. Not really. So, and because that's too real. That's way too real. And you don't want to be real in the mainstream, so they're not. They'll try to mimic authenticity, but it's kind of why authenticity has become a kind of a commodity. That's why people kind of like might watch a movie, but they'll like a live stream a lot more. They'll like a TV show, but they'll watch a YouTuber that might be, that might feel more authentic, or they're kind of like speaking the truth a little bit more than a TV show. I know I do. Like if I'm watching a TV show and a live stream is on from a guy I like, it's like, okay, well, I'll watch the TV show later and I'll watch this now. So that's kind of how that goes. It's like other people have seen this rise of a need for authenticity, which is why all those soy boys carry a microphone, because they're not authentic whatsoever, but they can seem authentic because they're carrying a microphone and it looks a little bit more unprofessional than a mainstream media outlet. But that's a big part of it. Soy boys, like far leftist corporate media, they're all highly inauthentic, smooth, and corporate sanitized, but they try to pretend to be authentic by mimicking some aspects that are okay, which is why they've embraced safe edgy. Anyway.
Term gaslight us into thinking that we're imagining it. I've also heard people attack anyone who criticizes, shall we say, uglyified characters as being gooners who are just angry that they can't goon to media anymore. I think I speak for a lot of you when I say that I am aware that these arguments are not just nonsensical, but they are deliberate social manipulation efforts to shut down any inquiry into this bizarre and growing trend. They're also, it's worth mentioning, another manifestation of society's belief that beauty equals sex appeal, which is really depressing. As you can imagine.
Also, if someone is really gooning to like the women of Samurai Jack, is that really an issue? Like, is that really something you have to stop? Like, if you're watching, I don't know, the episode where he's on a train and there's like an attractive Southern belle, and it's her whole thing. Like, she's attractive and she's a seductress, and you're gooning to that lady. Like, is that really an issue that we need to stop? Like just why do you need to stop that? It's like their business, right? She's an adult woman. Now I can see like the issue if it's like not adult woman, but if like you're going in and you're watching, I don't know, the episode of Yu-Gi-Oh where he fights an Amazon and you're gooning to her, like, is that really an issue? she's like a gigantic curvy lady. I was like, is this something that we need to stop? Really? Uh, yeah, it's like oh, you're just angry. You can't goon to it. Like first of all, most people aren't angry because you can't goon to it. That's because they're just saying that because they goon to everything under the sun. But if they were, if they're gooning to this random cartoon for Cartoon Network or something, is that really an issue? Is that really an issue if the character is like an adult or whatever, and is a pretty lady or something? Is that something you need to stop? Like I don't think so. And it's a Dean Busselman, hello Dean Bestshot. I am late, but here for some nonsense. Welcome, welcome.
Imagine we have kind of a lot of ground to cover here.
And also, if they change so much that they once gooned to a random cartoon show and they can't do it anymore, why can't they be angry about that? Why can't they be angry? Isn't that justifiable? It's like, oh yeah, just let them be angry. Let's let them be angry. Why not?
So this is what we're going to do. First, we'll talk about beauty itself. Then we'll look at the ways in which it is noticeably absent in the world, including looking at why this absence disturbs us. Finally, we're going to talk about some reasons why I believe this shift away from beauty and towards ugliness has actually been deliberate, and what the consequences, which we are already beginning to notice, might be. When we talk about beauty, there is a crucial distinction that must be made first. There are two parts to beauty. The first is actual beauty, which we will talk about at length, and which is the only thing that really matters. The second is what everyone calls standard.
Yeah, Dead Christ says, goon to whoever adult character you want. All policing efforts should be directed for those freaks jacking it from yeah. Wood chipper pricing is also down 90%. Yeah, I mean, if it's like there's jacking it to some Samurai Jack episode, and I don't think there's really any children characters in Samurai Jack. I don't think so, but like usually it's going to be like some attractive lady, right? Adult lady. So if they're going to these adult curvy women in cartoons, why not let them? Why does that have to be stopped? So it's like, oh, you can't jack it to the cartoons anymore. I mean, the thing is, they're trying to say that so they can stave off the idea of attractive characters at all. Like their whole mainstay thing has become either the character's ugly or you're just a gooner. Right? Only gooners want attractive characters in media, and it's not the case at all. It's a I'm so glad we convinced Ellie to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So many great memes have come from out of it. Yeah, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is like, oh man, what's going on here? But Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds on the other hand, man, that's peak Yu-Gi-Oh! That's good. That's good stuff. It's like so many twists and turns in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. It's been great. I watched a little bit more. I want to watch more anime, but I'm just stuck watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds because it's been so entertaining so far.
Standards of beauty, which would be more accurate to call standards of
Yeah, Chumley just being fat is like a meme because he's just acting fat multiple times in episodes sometimes.
popular aesthetics. These popular aesthetics.
His catchphrase is licious because he's just so fat. He's like the best thing. Instead of saying cool or something, he says licious because that's what a fat guy would say. His brain is so connected to liking things that are delicious that his phrase to emphasize that he likes something is that's totalicious.
Aesthetics have nothing at all to do with beauty. It's all just the current popular trends. People call it beauty.
It's a Carna Ketro 2 says Nike is a gotcha game known for its dramatic story, massive plot, and characters with plot, and a cover shooter style gameplay, showcasing the character's said backstory. Well, that's interesting. It's a gotcha game. That's pretty interesting.
Because no one understands what words mean anymore. The same way people call smut romance, like those are somehow the same thing. Standards of popular aesthetics is what told girls that they couldn't be a fashion model in the late 1990s unless they were 5'11" and weighed 80 pounds. Standards of popular aesthetics is what compels Chinese girls to go under the knife so they can all look just like Fan Bingbing. Standards of popular aesthetics is what is currently driving women and men to get Botox and more plastic surgery. It influences women to wear 10 pounds of makeup so they can all look like Kim Kardashian or any of the other makeup influencers on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. It encourages young girls to wear increasingly revealing and sexual clothes at younger and younger ages. And it influences men and young teenage boys to do all the steroids so they can look like photoshopped fitness influencers. It's all just fashion trends, not real beauty. Body image trends that are disordered are bad, absolutely. But general ideas of beauty that are universally and objectively applicable are good, very good. These two things are completely separate. And in fact, they very rarely overlap. It's more and more rare for popular aesthetics to actually be truly beautiful. It's more and more rare for what's truly beautiful to be popular and trendy. Overlaps have happened before, but they're rare. Weird standards of popular aesthetics
Weird, not just weird, but weird.
are not beauty. Social media is so-called beauty, the food videos, the makeup videos, the fitness videos, the art videos, all of that can be beautiful, but it's social media. So it also transforms beauty into a validation transaction, which is another perversion of beauty. It makes beauty disordered. This is why people find it so difficult to take genuine inspiration from their social media feed. Social media as the medium instills in the mind the sense that beauty isn't beautiful unless it has gone viral. This has served to warp the pursuit of beauty. People now believe that pursuing beauty is an inherently toxic social media idea, and the only alternative is to give up altogether and let yourself go or pursue the opposite of beauty. Bonus points if you can go viral doing either of these things on social media. The point I'm making is that so-called standards of beauty are just fashion trends and are not actual real beauty. But when the topic of disappearing beauty gets brought up, I often hear it dismissed on the grounds that XYZ random standard of beauty or fashion trend is actually unhealthy. Before we continue, these two ideas need to be completely separated in your mind. Okay, what I'm anticipating now is a deluge of, well, how do you define beauty? This is an enormous topic, but I'm going to try to simplify it and clarify it as much as possible. Here we go. Simply put, as a child growing up in a heavily philosophical house, I've always understood beauty to be order. To be more precise, and to quote the big guy of philosophy himself, Aristotle, beauty is the harmonious order of parts together with magnitude. We'll break that down more in a second. The pursuit of order, you could say, which is innate in every person, is one of the reasons people find symmetry to be beautiful. Not that that's the only definition of beauty.
Because no one's really symmetrical. But yeah, that's kind of that's pretty good. That's a pretty good definition. Orderly. It's kind of why you can have order and chaos, but it's kind of why you have like a guy who doesn't really take care of himself, so he kind of it's not really all that attractive, so he kind of has to start taking care of himself. It's what a lot of men struggle with, especially when they don't have a dad and they can become like a neckbeard type. You don't wash, you don't bathe. But bathing, changing into clean clothes is pretty orderly, right? So, thing is, to become more beautiful, become more handsome, a man should shave a little bit, should take care of himself a little bit, should bathe, wear clean clothes, and yeah, he's more attractive because and he comes off as a better, more stable person because he does put effort into his appearance.
This is also the reason people find organized cabinets and neatly arranged bookshelves so satisfying. Beyond the aesthetical, however, this is also one of the many, many reasons people historically praised a person for looking healthy. Rosy cheeks, nice teeth, an overall healthy complexion. Health meant the body was in order, and that was beautiful to look at. Again, this is only one teeny tiny little aspect of beauty, one tiny example of one of the hundreds of ways you can identify it in the world. Now, I can hear someone saying, but what about the fact that, for example, in Victorian times, the aesthetic of the pale, sickly consumptive was found beautiful? This had to do with the fact that the Victorians, being as they were constantly adjacent to death and also standing as they were on the brink of civilization's overall death, had romanticized death and sickliness. Finding a way to cope with the omnipresence of death isn't the worst thing in the world, but it does represent something my philosophy teacher would have called disordered. The Victorian ideal of beauty had ventured away from idealizing order and instead idealized disorder. So being close to death, that is, having a body where the parts weren't working in harmonious order, was specifically seen as beautiful. The consumptive wasn't beautiful in spite of being sick. She or he was beautiful because of being sick. That is disordered. That is to say, the Victorian standards for beauty were once again nothing more than the popular aesthetics of the time. And we have this throughout history. Every historical era had their own disordered popular aesthetics. I mean, what's her name in France? Charles VII's mistress, Agnes Sorel or whoever, popularized having one boob out. And then do you remember that brief period in history when bejeweled men's cod pieces were all the rage? And don't even get me started on the medieval bowl cut. On that note, let's take a minute here and clarify another crucial distinction. In our current society, everything all the time has to be
Right? Like just the bowl cut is, is an insult. An insult to fashion. That's pretty funny. It is pretty funny that the bowl cut was also chosen as the ideal haircut for lesbian. If you look at the past feminist style haircuts, in 2016 and onward, they started favoring bowl cuts for some reason. It's like Mo Howard style bowl cut. And then also you had that lesbian night game. Like what's it called, 1337 or whatever? I don't know what's called. But she also had the bowl cut. So, it's kind of funny.
Interpreted in sexual terms. Therefore, modern people define beauty as that which makes me sexually aroused. This is obviously degenerate nonsense, but it's also the commonplace norm, more and more these days. That's why you get these women who think, well, I want to look beautiful and beauty is sex appeal, so I'm just going to wrap myself loosely in dental floss and that will make me beautiful. This is also where you get men who try to give a woman a compliment by calling her hot. Hot is not beauty, it's sex appeal. Not the same thing. I have heard many people talk about the weird beauty crisis in modern culture in terms of this, which is really frustrating. Just the other day, I came across some people talking about...
Let's see. Dai Karai, just a wood chipper enthusiast, I'm awake. It makes sense.
About how once upon a time, popular women were more like Monica Bellucci. They were unapologetically beautiful, in other words. Only the word that was used was hot. These people had noticed the decline of beauty and had, as so often happens, interpreted it in sexual terms. Monica Bellucci was an incredibly beautiful woman, but she was also a sex object who was presented to the public by the mass media for the purpose of degeneration. That is, to reduce our understanding of beauty to a strictly animal sexual appetite. Let me explain. People will look at some of the recent uglyified videos.
Oh man, that was a bad one too.
The purpose of degeneration. That is, to reduce our understanding of beauty to a strictly animal sexual appetite. Let me explain. People will look at
this guy is a dude with a fupa.
Some of the recent uglyified video game characters, let's say, or the deliberately visually unappealing cast of Birds of Prey, for example, or models such as these who have been...
Yeah, see, like everyone knows that the cast of Birds of Prey are just hideous. This is what they look like. They're all like burnt out crackheads. Like this, they should all be on the couch, like wondering what their next job is going to be, and like working nights at a whorehouse. This is what they look like, the main three characters here.
For example, or models such as these who have been deliberately made as...
By the way, I still can't get over the fact that the movie Birds of Prey had a very oddly long segment where Harley Quinn falls in love with an egg sandwich. That's what they were wasting their time on, instead of getting the characters together pretty early on and developing them as a team before the end, which they do not do. The team gets together for the very first time at the very end, and they start acting like they've been a team the entire time.
Ugly as possible, and they'll be repulsed, and they'll interpret their repulsion as, well, I don't feel sexually attracted to any of these people, therefore none of them are beautiful. So naturally they seek out the opposite, which could be Monica Bellucci, and they'll feel attracted to her, and they'll say, I feel a lay sexual attraction, therefore she is beautiful. No. Sexual attraction is not how you determine beauty. You determine beauty by looking for harmonious order. Yes, it can happen that you might feel attraction for the person you see who has ordered and harmonious beauty, but that's incidental. And it has way more to do with your sex drive. Yes, a lot of the characters in video games these days are ugly. These models and these characters are also deliberately quote-unquote unattractive. They were made that way on purpose. But that ugliness has nothing to do with sexual attractiveness. It is evident in their deliberately disordered appearances, which inspire revulsion. Yes, of course, you're probably also not sexually attracted to them. You're also probably not sexually attracted to a redwood tree, but that doesn't mean that the redwood tree is disordered. You're also probably not sexually attracted to your sister or your brother. That doesn't make them ugly. Sexual attraction is not a reliable indicator of a thing's true, real, genuine beauty. Being sexually attracted to something is separate from beauty. Sexual attraction is an animal urge.
And there it is. There it is. This is what the wokies don't understand, because they don't have this idea ingrained in their minds. They think beauty equals sexual attraction, or sexual attraction equals beauty. They can't separate the two. You can be a straight dude and admire the anatomy of David, right? The statue of David. You could be a straight guy and admire knights, handsome knights and powerful men. You could do that. You can be it's like a trope by this point that gym bros get more excited over another gym bro's muscles than women do. So this is it. Like that's an instance of a gym bro, a straight guy, recognizing a beauty or an orderly appearance without being sexually attracted to the guy. It could definitely happen. It's kind of why a bunch of male friendship can feel very intimate without being sexual. That's kind of how it goes. So, but the people online, the wokies online, don't understand this. They think that, you think this person is beautiful, so you want to goon to them, which is not the case at all. But they can't, they're so porn-brained that they can't differentiate the idea that you can appreciate beauty without sexual attraction. And this is why they always call you like a predator or a gooner or whatever it is, because you might like the aesthetics of a female character. You might find them beautiful, and they're like, oh, well, you just want to goon to her. So, of course, it's okay that they made her ugly. I'm sorry you can't goon to her anymore. Because that's the only way they can comprehend beauty is through sexual attraction. Right? That's the only way. And that's the only way they can comprehend it, because we know that because that's the only way they can see it in others. Like you want her to be beautiful because you want to goon to her. That's the only way they can come to that conclusion. Because they can't really comprehend the idea of finding things attractive or beautiful without the pornography part, without the sexualization of it, without the sexual part. Because they're all gooner porn brain weirdos themselves.
And has to be regulated by reason.
Anyway, chat. This video is an hour long. Everyone's putting out these really interesting yet really long videos. But anyway, I think we can go ahead and go to the extra video today, going over. Let's see, where is it? Warcraft. Blizzard is about to end Warcraft as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it, chat. Let's check it out. So. Here it is. Blizzard is about to end Warcraft as we know it. Tyler says, this isn't even about admiring beauty inside of an individual. It's not about being perceived as beautiful without doing anything that makes it undesirable. Yeah, exactly. So it really is, about being able to appreciate beauty without the sexual attraction part. And we want to recognize that people can appreciate aesthetics, beauty, and others without being sexually attracted to it. It's not necessarily a component in that. It can be, but not necessarily so. Anyway, chat. Let's get down to business. Let's get to the extra video, because you definitely earned it today, chat. Definitely earned it today. So here we go. Let's see what Blizzard has done to Warcraft now. Like what else? What other evil could they have done to this IP?
You've probably noticed that we fight a new flavor of mega powerful cosmic villain every expansion. They keep getting bigger and badder, and each new layer of power kind of feels like it weighs the setting down.
Wait, how do you fight this guy? Who even is this? My first thought was this Sargeras, but it can't be Sargeras because he's supposed to be like a molten creature thing.
This is obviously unsustainable. It has to change, and it seems Blizzard actually knows how to do it. And their answer...
This is this Galactus? Like, who is this guy?
...is to kind of nuke everything. In effect, to clear the board. That's the point of World Soul Saga, and it very much begins in Midnight's patch 12.2. This all comes from our knowledge of the lore in Warcraft's production, plus the huge leak that has hit the community like a lightning bolt. It almost sounds too good to be true. It includes a live-action Arthas show, an ARPG, a new real-time strategy game, the stuff of dreams, which absolutely makes it look fake. But here's the thing. There are parts of this leak that were not in the public domain. They were not public knowledge whenever the leak first happened many, many months ago in 2025. And the
Of course they bring in Sargeras. Of course they did. If they bring in Sargeras as a main boss, I know they're out of ideas. Because Sargeras is supposed to be like this big... so there was Sargeras or was not Sargeras? But Sargeras is supposed to be like this big, like almost untouchable, godly entity that runs the Burning Legion. He's not really supposed to be a guy you can really defeat on your own. Or even with a group of friends. Anyway.
Parts of the leak that line up are clearly not just a lucky guess, because it even gets a project code name right. But to get back to the story and the lore, we've got to get away from this leaked document and go to another part of the leak, because buried deep in a comment...
Let's see, Alchemic 80s, thanks for a $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s, very much appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Let me see if you can get the right clip here. Here we go. Richard! Thank you very much, Alchemic 80 says, hey LD and BezChat, the left has a horrible case of narcissistic projection. Well, yeah, they do, definitely that, yeah. Absolutely. That they cannot comprehend any other point of view. It's really sad when you think about it. Also, praise be to Space King. Well, that's kind of why it's been a generally understood fact that they will always project, because they really can't comprehend anything else outside of themselves. They're just that level of narcissistic. So when you say you like a character, it must be because you want to goon to them, because that's kind of how they understand beauty. If they find something beautiful, they just want to masturbate to it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, they're just obsessed with fetishes, so to the point where they just want to... I kind of had this thought a long time ago, but everything that the SJW left does is all just fetishes wrapped up in moral crusades. That's basically it. They're all just porn brain psychos that try to wrap up the idea that they're trying to push their fetishes into normal life by wrapping it up in a moral crusade.
Section about, of all things pet battling, the leaker casually revealed the future of the World Soul Saga. They claim that a setting-defining event will happen at the end of the Midnight expansion.
Uh-oh. I see Megalathon. Thanks for a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Megalathon. Appreciate it. Oh my god! And see, Megalathon says, the Belular videos, yep, seen it. We didn't fight Sargeras. We fought Argus, the blue guy. It's hard to explain, to recommend. The end of Antares, raid cinematic to understand it. So you don't fight Sargeras. At least they're not that idiotic. Or like, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw in Sargeras. Like if you fight Sargeras, that's it. If you fight and win Sargeras, you have nowhere to go. Because if they dare to make another bad guy like the jailer or whatever, it's like, actually, it's not Sargeras. It was some guy controlling Sargeras the entire time. Well, then it's over. It's over, like, idea-wise. There's nothing left. Sargeras is, like, the mainstay, biggest baddie of all time in the Warcraft universe. If they go and do the whole, you beat Sargeras, but there's another bad guy that's pulling the strings, then I think we're done here. I think we can pack up and go home. Because, obviously, it's a hopeless cause.
Something so big, it'll change the course of Warcraft forever. And they reveal the real conflict of the Last Titan expansion, by which I mean who we'll be fighting and...
The Last Titan expansion, I don't know what the hell this is, but it should be, let's have some humans fight some orcs. Let's do that.
Why having a particular character as the end boss of the World Soul Saga makes perfect sense. And after laying that out, they then claim that it's all set up for a WoW 2.0. A true lore reset. And if that all...
A lore reset? Oh yeah, okay, that will kill. Wow, yeah, a lore reset. Are you kidding me? A lore reset. When has that ever worked?
Sounds mad. I'd totally agree with you. But is it real? Well,
Yeah, it sounds insane. Yeah, agree. We're on the same page here. I'm glad. I'm glad to know we're on the same page. That sounds really crazy. Yeah.
it is highly likely at least parts of this are real. We recently did a video deep diving the leak's veracity, and a lot of stuff does check out. But today, we're here to talk about the lore of the IP that so many of us love. So be warned, there are spoilers. Not granular details, not dialogue of specific characters, but absolutely we're talking about huge structural plot beats from where we're at midnight through to the end of the saga, and then far into the future. Here's the thing I've noticed. A lot of people who need a website don't have one, or they have one, but
That's fine.
do you need native video host of a site or domain? Here's how our story begins. Last year, a Reddit user called Fifth Yacht leaked an internal development roadmap for the future of the Warcraft franchise. It's pretty spicy, there's many goodies in there. But when we sleuthed through their account, we found way more prescient information. In this post about pet battling in 11.2's Koresh, user Zelmac shared their theory that Koresh wasn't initially intended
Koresh, like the crazy compound guy.
as a patch zone, and that originally the Rootlands was set to be in the War Within. But the Rootlands then became Harrendar, and Koresh was built from scratch under Chris Metzen's new World Soul Saga framing. Well, the user, the leaker, Fifth Yacht, actually says that theory is correct. And then they revealed what happened.
Yeah, Koresh was the guy that led. That was a leader of the cult in Waco. That guy's in WoW. That's crazy.
Happens next. Here's what they wrote. Quote, the next expansion will return to the Black Blood / World Soul, with Azeroth being the final titan and coming to life to cleanse the planet, including players. The last expansion will wrap up with us having to kill Azeroth to restore.
Wait a minute. Now let's go over this again. Hold on. 1 second here. The next expansion will return to Black Blood World Soul with Azeroth being final Titan. I mean, the Titans are I don't think the Titans are even bad guys. Titans are like the guys that made the world, right? I'm pretty sure. Like the Titans are the guys that made Azeroth and everything. I'm pretty sure, right? Because the original lore, from what I remember, is that Sargeras was a Titan, but he was a Titan whose job it was to fight evil. And because he fought so much evil, he got corrupted by the evil and became the leader of the Burning Legions. That's why he's so powerful, because he's basically a god turned evil. So you got to fight. We're going to fight Titans now. They're going to fight Titans in Warcraft now. Let's see. Life to cleanse the planet, including players. Last expansion will wrap up with us having to kill Azeroth to restore her. So they're gonna make it. So they're trying to ramp up to a WoW 2, which will basically just be a gigantic hard reset. This sounds like a bad idea, like a really bad idea.
Restore her. Then off to WoW 2.0. Now that's a huge statement. I mean, what do we even make of any of that? Well, the good news is quite a lot, actually. So let's break it all down. Now, when this was posted, the next expansion in question was, of course, Midnight. And in Midnight, we can see that we have not strictly returned to the whole Black Blood story that was all through the War Within. But I believe the leaker was working with the context of the War Within's Black Blood storyline. We, of course, now know that that storyline has transformed into the Harrendar and World Soul story of Midnight. You know, all the stuff with Alanhara, the Rift of Aln, all that stuff. So it does basically check out. Next, then, there's...
So that's pretty crazy. I don't see how a bunch of randos from Azeroth, no matter how high level they are, can kill a Titan. Because what I know about the Titans is from like Warcraft 3 at most. Like it's from... I know Sargeras, because Sargeras I think was in Warcraft 2, but I know that he's like a Titan that went evil. That's kind of, he's like the Lucifer of this universe. So I don't know why the Titans would be bad guys normally.
Azeroth as the final Titan. Well, that's actually something that we've known the Titans themselves call her, and we know that since all the way back in Mists of Pandaria with the legendary Cloak quest. Basically what happens is, Rathian, being a bit of a mad bastard, consumes the heart of Lei Shen. Within the heart of Lei Shen was the essence of Aman'Thul. Aman'Thul, of course, being the big leader of the Titans. And upon consuming the heart, Rathian effectively was made a conduit for a message that was personally sent by Aman'Thul at the moment Sargeras defeated the Titan Pantheon. So, suffice it to say, that checks out. Now, the next thing is Azeroth coming to life to cleanse the world, and that including us. Of course, the idea of a Titan cleansing a planet is not really a surprising thing. Remember, of course, Algalon, the final boss of Ulduar. But in all of the leaks, this really was the big one, the idea that Azeroth would actually wake up. Now, we've been told since the end of the Legion expansion that Azeroth was waking up, but it always felt like something in the far future. Well, the future is almost here, and the leak claims that this happens in the expansion we are playing right now, and that it is actually the final big epic moment of the Midnight expansion. But that's when it does get a bit tough, because apparently she's going to cleanse us, and I don't think that means unclogging our pores. I think it probably means burning us in some sort of ground.
Everyone gets to die, I guess. So Megathon says, "Well, Argus was a newborn Titan." Oh, okay, that makes sense. And he forms on the seat of the Pantheon, so he was small. Honestly, LD, the Argus fight is one of the best road encounter I've done. If he's like a brand new Titan, that makes sense as to why you could probably kill him.
And fire. Maybe, maybe not. There's a few options here, actually. Of course, Xal'atath is on her way to the World Core literally as we speak. That's where Azeroth basically is imprisoned. So Xal'atath could corrupt Azeroth. Maybe then Sargeras.
Ezekiel Legum says, yeah, only played Warcraft 2 and some Warcraft 3 skirmishes, or whatever the single maps are called myself. So Azeroth, I mean, you should play the story of Warcraft 3. It's like peak Warcraft. So Azeroth is the one world WC set in, is the one of the few names I recognize. The original kingdom in Orcs and Humans, Warcraft 1, was called Azeroth, and then became the Kingdom of Stormwind, I think. But yeah, the world is Azeroth. That was like the original idea that the orcs are fighting the men of Azeroth. And it was cool. Like Warcraft 1 is pretty brutal. It's, in fact, if you play Warcraft 1 and then go to modern day WoW, it's really hard to imagine these two things being in the same universe. But they are.
Garrus's sword will have done something, maybe shot some of that fell juice into the world and made Azeroth go loopy. But looking at the story as it's developing right now, I think the most realistic outcome is this. The Titans' mission to transform Azeroth into one of their own is going to succeed, and in the end, we just won't fit into the Titans' plans for Azeroth. Though if I was a Titan, I wouldn't be so sure, because we don't even know if the Titans will fit into the vision of a titanic risen Azeroth. What if she wakes up and decides that the Titans are also a big old mess? That could absolutely happen. But based on what we can read in the leak and the surrounding lore context, it maybe seems like the last Titan is a war against Azeroth herself. Maybe a corrupted Azeroth, who exactly knows, but perhaps more against her than it would be against, say, Xal'atath or the Titan Pantheon.
Let's see. Alex Halo says, Final Fantasy MMO did a reset because no one was playing and gave a special cutscene to let you use your character from the old world. And new version was made officially fun. Yeah, that's a good reason to reset the lore. However, like every Final Fantasy, it's its own thing. So I assume the Final Fantasy lore for the MMO was self-contained. Warcraft is not. Warcraft is Warcraft 1, 2, 3, and WoW. So if you're going to reset the lore, you're resetting everything. Not just WoW, but the history of Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and WoW. You're just starting a clean slate. And we know what that means, right? We know what a clean slate means going by what we've heard before. Remember everyone's going, oh, I really regret that we called it Warcraft. Right? So, pretty sure when they go to Warcraft 2.0, it's just going to be made for gays and women, like everything else is being made for. It's going to be made for gays and women, and it's just going to be complete justification, and everyone's going to be, oh, we're going to have a friendly little duel. It's going to be fine. Let's work together. Yeah. Let's all get together. I'm going to buy a house in Ogrimmar as a human or something. And it's going to be all touchy-feely kumbaya. That's my prediction for Warcraft 2.0.
That would mean that the true meaning of the World Soul Saga is ultimately its end boss, the last Titan. So let's see what that looks like and why there are no other good options. Okay, let's assume all this stuff is real and that it is still Blizzard's plan. Do remember, of course, plans can change. But let's assume then that Azeroth is going to wake up and then try to cleanse the planet, including us, the players. Now, there are realistically 3 reasons why that would happen. The first is Xal'atath. As the story currently stands, she has the best chance of corrupting Azeroth and, yes, sending her on some kind of world-cleansing mission. Xal'atath has long claimed to want our World Soul, but we've never been 100% sure why. And within that why could be a full explanation of what's contained within the leak. Though what we do know currently is the background Void lore effectively tells us that Xal'atath wants to use Azeroth's power to become the ultimate devourer, the thing that will consume all of creation until, as the prophet Velen saw in his early visions of the Void, she just becomes an endless nothing, eternally gnawing on itself, which would be bad news for us. Now, the next option is the Titans, and that's honestly not much better for the denizens of Azeroth. Yes, we don't trust them as much as we used to, but they were very recently working with us. And even if we're drawn into conflict, I think it is the case that the Titans
That guy totally has a Galactus helmet.
aren't simply evil. To say that would be a reductive view of how they've been characterized so far. Think about it this way. Azeroth is called the final Titan in the lore, but the end of the World Soul Saga is called the Last Titan. Let's think about those names. If the Titans turn Azeroth into one of them, then, just like in the Void scenario, she would become the ultimate being of order. Nothing will be good enough in her eyes based on how beings of order tend to work in this verse. And that would mean that everything would have
It's a final issue of the two says Sargeras was the ending of Illidan's story, where they put him back into the Titans at the end of the expansion for the Battle of Azeroth. So did you fight Sargeras? Because I do know that. Okay, so Gul'dan, way back in Warcraft 2, was pursuing the power of Sargeras. So he went to the tomb of Sargeras that was there, right? But he's a Titan. I don't think he actually dies. So yeah, his men. Warcraft 3 kind of noted that all of his men went insane because Sargeras is not actually dead. They chopped him up, I think. But essentially, Gul'dan became so powerful and so corrupted with all kinds of evil, dark energy that his skull became a powerful artifact of magic. Okay, and the skull of Gul'dan, I think, was all the way back in Warcraft 2. I'm pretty sure. I think that was a Warcraft 2 thing. He dies, and then we got to get the skull of Gul'dan, because that was a cool artifact. And then in Warcraft 3, the skull of Gul'dan comes into play in a big way by corrupting Illidan. Illidan got the skull of Gul'dan in one of the missions and became like half demon or something. Became corrupted by the abyss, the pit, or whatever. And that's why Illidan is so powerful. So, it is a big thing with him. So yeah, I think the skull of Gul'dan, I think, was infused with the corruption of Sargeras. And the corruption of Sargeras. So Illidan's story is tied to Gul'dan in some way, and also tied to Sargeras because he's also eventually was leashed to the Burning Legion.
Have to be unmade and then remade into some perfect balanced system. That probably includes the Titans themselves, leading to a cosmos of perfect static order. Again, that's bad news for us, and in that case, the final Titan may ensure that she is the last Titan. Then there's the third option, and this is the darkest of them. It's that Azeroth emerges from the world as a traumatized monstrosity. Beings like Chimeras, the undreamt god, or, say, the uncontrollable superweapon Ulatek, who we're going to be dealing with in patch 12.1. Effectively, in this reading of the lore, Azeroth would be a nightmare-fueled, half-void-infected, half-order-infected world soul, so sick of bullshit and chaos that she just decides to cleanse everything with fire. Now, no matter what happens, you can see that any three of those are pretty rumbly, but with any of them, there is a way that we can save our world, save its soul, and bring Warcraft into its next era. And now that you've heard it all, I bet you've got an uncanny sense that you felt this coming, that one way or another, we were always going to meet Azeroth. People have been talking about Azeroth waking up for nearly as long as we've known that she was in fact a sleeping world soul. Here's the community working out.
I like to think that when Azeroth does come in, I didn't know Azeroth was a Titan, first of all, but if Azeroth is a Titan or some sort of character, I hope that the character wakes up and goes, man, this crap is woke. What the hell happened? Time to cleanse it. Time to cleanse this world of all of its disification and wokeness.
What she could look like 9 years ago, some pretty sick art. Here's another post worrying that whenever it happens, the planet will basically pop open like an egg and that all our characters will be deleted. Certainly a valid fear. And even if this early lore exploration doesn't get the details right, it's clear that all these people knew this was coming. And not because they could magically tell the future, but because this story has been building since World of Warcraft launched. Let's go back to Chronicle. Chronicle told us in no uncertain terms that Azeroth was a world soul and would one day emerge as a fully grown Titan. But that was just a confirmation of something that we'd actually already known. If you ask a Wrath of the Lich King veteran what they thought Azeroth was, they would give you something pretty close to the modern truth when you actually think about the lore. As an example, take a read of the Discs of Norganon in Vanilla's Uldaman dungeon. You see, we discovered that earthen transformed into dwarves, but we didn't really know why they did that. Now, this is a mystery that was first resolved with the Old Gods and the Curse of Flesh, and then, of course, later with the Earthen of Khazalgar gaining free will under the influence of the World Soul. Now, in the Storm Peaks, we experienced an immense three-part revelation about the Titans. In the Tribunal of Ages, we discovered that Azeroth, the planet, was a host. But a host to what? We just didn't know back then. But even Yogg-Saron backed that up whenever we killed him, because when we did, he told us that the end of days was upon our miserable seedling. He called Azeroth a seedling. What was she going to grow up into then? What did he know? Of course, almost immediately after that in Ulduar, we face off against Algalon. We defeat him, and when we defeated him, we basically convinced him that being a native of Azeroth gave us some sort of special free will sauce, and then maybe we could take on the old god corruption ourselves. And if that all seems a bit rumbly to you, basically Algalon is a type of being that we call a Constellar. They're deeply entwined with the Titans in ways we probably don't fully understand yet, but his job was to watch over things, and if stuff completely went foobar, if Azeroth got just totally corrupted, he basically could hit the big button that would re-originate the world, effectively fire off all the Titan machinery that we had discovered, and cleanse the whole thing, with everyone on it. Now, he wouldn't just do that willy-nilly. He would make a determination. He would make a calculation. And when he calculated that he would defeat us, but in fact we defeated him, he then realized, oh dear, what if my calculations aren't all correct? And that's why the world didn't end in the middle of Wrath of the Lich King. And that's a moment in a lore exploration that I think you really have to feel to get how Blizzard have been developing this lore for, I don't know, like 20 years. Now, you may then be thinking, why were we so special? Well, the good news is that over the years, the lore has circled ever closer to giving us a definitive answer to that question. Here's an example. In the Cataclysm expansion, Malfurion was on a bit of a side quest to save the world from a nightmare-spawned sleeping sickness whenever he discovered the Rift of Uln.
Yeah, but hold on now. So does that mean they've been setting up the idea of we're going to reset the entire world's lore for 20 years?
This
It's kind of crazy.
Bizarre, half-dreamed place deep within the Emerald Dream. Now, when Malfurion was there, he sensed N'Zoth, but he also sensed something older, something primeval. And we now know what he felt was the remnant of Azeroth's true cradle within Harrendar. Cradle basically being where she just kind of bedded up and chilled out, let's just say. Canonically, that story happens during Cataclysm, though the next bit is something that we actually saw when we played Cataclysm, and that is Magni transforming into a diamond. He basically tried to commune with the world, turned into a diamond, everyone thought he was basically dead, but that was only until Thrall found his spirit, traveling in the deep places, talking with something. A bit weird. Now, by the time of Legion expansion, Magni is back in his feet, and he tells us what the recently
Wait, you can just meet Magni? Okay, so we're going to meet all the Titans, all the gods, and everything. And there's really no mysticism anymore. There's no wondering anymore. You kind of just meet everybody. Okay.
released Warcraft Chronicle had made canon, and that was that Azeroth herself was a world soul. Then we were told repeatedly through Battle of Azeroth that the planet had a personality, that the planet was an entity, not just some artificial dead thing or a source of power. No, she was an actual being of some sort. And the Judas Sargeras' actions at the end of Legion, she was in great peril. You may remember the famous voice lines about "Champion! The wounds!" All that stuff. Of course, in BFA, we patched her up, we thwarted a plan from N'Zoth, and then the next two expansions went back and forth on what Azeroth actually was. But then, the World Soul Saga revealed the all-time maximum canon authentic lore for what Azeroth is, and that is some form of being at the center of creation. And we learn that if any one of the unbalanced forces of the cosmos was to control her, that it would basically be the end of everything. But throughout all that lore development, no matter what iteration of the World Soul we were on, Azeroth was always one thing: sleeping. Now we know that she's going to wake up, and that when she does, she'll be controlled by, likely, one of those unbalanced powers, be it Xal'atath, be it the Titans. And that will be when this long built-up threat and storyline actually becomes real. But through all those vast quantities of lore, there is actually a facet of Azeroth that had not been covered until recently, and that is her true name. Her true name is Alanhara. So whenever we fight Azeroth, if the leak's to be believed, the thing we're actually going to try and save is Alanhara, because Alanhara is our...
So they really are trying to set up where the world is going to wake up and destroy everybody. They're going to get Warcraft 2.0.
world's true nature. And it's in saving
The last expansion, I guess.
Alanhara that we will see the seeds of a lore reset that will truly bring us into something that you could call WoW 2.0. It's been a crazy ride to get here. We've got the early days of, say, the Tauren mythos and the Earth Mother, and how the Earth Mother could cause earthquakes, to
Wait a minute, that's the Earth Mother? Wait, 1 second. That's the Earth Mother? The Earth Mother's a black lady? That's kind of funny.
one of the central pillars of the lore finally getting to its natural conclusion. And that's why the World Soul Saga is as much closing WoW 1.0 as it is setting up WoW 2.0. So let's talk about what happens next. Because we've known since Metzen announced the saga that they're thinking about the future. And by the future, I mean WoW version 14 and onward. First, to do this, they need to reset the stakes. Each expansion tends to deliver a new layer of power, they keep on stacking, and eventually, by the end of it, we'll be fighting the planet itself.
It's the Alchemic 80s. Thanks for additional $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. It's a so we have the Titans, you say, and now the Eldritch horrors. Where's Lovecraft in the setting? We see a mixing of a bunch of concepts here, but it's the same idea of big thing causes bad stuff. Yeah, it's kind of like a different mask, but the same thing. But the thing is, the faceless ones were added in Warcraft 3. They just weren't like a huge deal. They existed, and you fought some of them, but they didn't really make too much of a change as far as I know. They just were kind of there. It's like, where Arthas, I think it's like you go in with Arthas and Nul Zerub or whatever his name is, the undead Spider King guy, the Ribian King, and he's essentially like oh yes, watch out, this ancient place has crazy things in it. Arthas, look, bro, you gotta watch out. There's weird things in here. And he's like, oh, I'm Arthas. I don't have to worry about crazy things. And we find out that the crazy things talking about are not just like bad guys or undead or whatever. It's eldritch horrors. And they're called the Faceless Ones. And you get to kill a few of them, but they don't really do much. They don't really do much in Warcraft 3. They're just kind of there.
That's getting a bit out of hand, but equally, it is something we do actually need to deal with. So it seems Blizzard is going to nuke all of it. How would they do that? Well, they would do it with Azeroth. Or, like I said, Alanhara, her real name. Now, behind every top-level villain's motivations was Azeroth. Sargeras wanted to destroy her.
Okay, that is Sargeras. Yeah, so I saw the molten skin. Yeah, that's Sargeras. Okay, that makes sense.
The old gods wanted.
It doesn't make sense that he shows up and you have to fight him. I always found it very interesting that Sargeras never really showed up. You kind of felt his influence, and he felt a lot larger because you felt his influence, but you never really saw him.
To create a dark titan out of her. The Titans, of course, wanted her to wake up as a new Pantheon member who'd be able to help them in their grand old plan to order the cosmos just as they see fit. And for the longest time, we only understood Azeroth through the motivations of those villainous characters. And now they're all on a collision course for the World Soul. Xalatath is almost there. The Titans are likely on their way back, and Sargeras may even be with them. In our war to cleanse Azeroth, there will be casualties. And if you want to reset the power scaling in your universe, well, killing off all your gods is a good way to do that. And now we can actually see a power that could credibly kill off the gods. That power would be an Ascendant World Soul. At first corrupted, ordered, or insane. But perhaps then we cleanse her because we have to cleanse her. There's no other choice. What Alanhara offers, then, is the truth that no one was really able to see. That she was more powerful, perhaps, than any force that could have controlled her. And in that moment, she may indeed wipe the board. It at least seems to me that is the lore implication of all the leaks that have came out. And it's when a credible picture of what comes next actually snaps into focus for me, at least personally. Right? A setting cleared of massive powers. No more Titans or Void Lords vying for domination. No more, oh, this is the purple expansion, this is the green expansion, oh, it's the Void, it's the Fel, where it all just starts to feel really pedestrian and disconnected from the experience of our characters in the world that we love. And to step outside of the lore side, what I'm really talking about here is finally an opportunity to tell entirely new stories in Azeroth that are rooted in the lore of Azeroth. And if you ask me, that sounds exactly like a spiritual WoW 2.0. Not putting it into Unreal Engine or some gimmick like that, but an actual change to the status quo that signals
what, like WoW first-person shooter?
A fresh beginning. And after all of the crud that I think we've accumulated over the years within the lore, that may indeed be a healthy thing. Provided, of course, Blizzard is able to remember the essential intrinsic properties of the Warcraft IP that drew people towards it all those years ago, and for so many.
They're not. I think not only have they forgotten, I think everyone who knew what to do has left or has lost the plot. And by saying things like, oh, I really regret calling it Warcraft. I could get out of here.
Years since. Because if WoW 2.0 looks like generic, easy-to-consume fantasy slop, I think it will die on the vine. If, however, it can reestablish itself as a true secondary world that actually is treated seriously, then we could be off in a good direction, especially if that's backed up by the likes of, say, the other things that are...
All right, chat. Well, there we go. So it looks like WoW might be coming to an end to usher in a refreshed era, a reset era of lore, and a reset of WoW 2.0, or for WoW, I should say, for WoW 2.0. Seems like a bad idea to me. I don't think that's going to be the best idea to do a lore reset on all of Warcraft. Seems like a really, really horrendous idea. Anyway, chat. It's like Blizzard only knows how to do bad decisions now. That's like when it comes to like the big things. Anyway, chat. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to stream memes. And yes, chat, we did make it to Pillaman. So here we go. Lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer, chat. And Pillaman, loud clip incoming. And Pillaman, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ay, 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 ay.
much, Best Chat. Thank you much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you much, Best Chat, for your fantastic generosity. Thank you much, Jimmy God, for additional $5 Super Chat as well. By the way, I saw a brand new day and stayed through the credits. That old man was never seen. He is definitely unalive, and they are hinting to Secret Wars. They've been really wanting to do Secret Wars big time for a while now, I think. And see, chat. All right, let me go ahead and update this. Thank you very much, everyone. Awesome, awesome. Very, very good. All right, there we go. Let's get down to business, chat. Tomorrow, only a day away. I seen a picture of my vagina, and he said, if I'm still at Arby's, get him a number 3 at with a Sprite. Turn around in the other direction. No, turn around again. Dude, where are you? I don't see you. I'm out of town, but the thought of you aimlessly turning around in circles amused me. When a poorly reviewed game claims it has been fixed, what do you trust most before buying? Steam reviews? Probably Steam reviews. Content creators, because you can't really trust that all the time because it's probably been paid off. Patch notes and dev updates. Yeah, it's just games journalists. 0%. In a world where 3% of voters will pick a troll vote, getting 0% is truly a feat. Now, people on the internet, even the internet is not willing to joke about listening to games journalists. Let's see. Alchemic 80s. Additional $5 super chat here for the final stretch. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. And you put us over the 400 mark. Thank you very much. All right. Well. That does get us more. What's it now? Okay, there we go. That does unlock the first stream of the weekend, which is Venture Brothers. Let's see. Angel Reese is going to have to block the whole NBA after this one. Anyone else who sends me this is getting blocked. I think every shot you take. Oh man, that's rough. There we go. Perfectly suitable. Let's have your baby side of the car. It works just fine. What could go wrong? I updated it. Hold on. There we go. It's a billionaire bisexual vampire werewolf. I'm here to fuck you, he growled. She immediately began ovulating. Like every book. It's a wanted to apologize for colonization and show you our remorse for it. Apologize how? By doing it again. The two rogues meet. So if they really wanted to save the MCU, I think they should do this, right? They should have the two rogues meet each other. Pot of Greed comes by, gives you 2 cards. Let's go dance. Save Fern. The floor is free. You'll have to ask me properly, Stark-sama, like Himmel the hero would. She's gotten way too used to this. Thanks, Spider-Man. Everyone gets 1. Oh, the X-Jet. I'm going to need 2 seats for the twins. Spider-Pig. Let's see. Sorry, just a tad a bit bigger, hun. Well, at least I have the damn accent. It's not about you, Peter. It's about me. MJ, the film is called Spider-Man 3, not MJ 3. Stark left these for you. Alternate reality where MJ is Spider-Man. Michael Jackson. With great he, because great he. Peter explained why MJ may have cancer from his radioactive sperm. That's the one face that she makes. She makes that same face every movie. That's what gets her hired, is making that face. Like, I can't believe this man just did that face. I'm a grown man. I'm a big adult. I can do this. Spider-Man. Okay, he's crying at it. I gotta watch that too. I heard that was a really good series, the Spider-Man animated series. These are my friends, MJ and Ned. Mary Jane, it's Marvel Jesus. Fascinating. MJ, them J. Yoda Hulk. When angry I am. Like me, you will not. Oh, that's nightmare fuel. Let's see. Never skip leg day. And what is this? Oh, is it She-Hulk? And there's that one fetish show where true beauty is control. There's the Neapolitan. Yeah, you want blonde, blonde brunette and redhead, but this is a pink hair instead. What's this? Ah, it's not what it looks like, MJ. I mean, probably better off without MJ at this point, because every writer seems obsessed with having MJ do her own thing without Spider-Man. Like she needs to be her own person or something. Carla Batista Gimlich too says Michael Jackson actually wanted to play Spider-Man. I mean, that makes sense. I can see that, yeah. It's a ice cream. I'm ugly and I'm proud. I'm ugly and I'm proud. Yesterday, yeah, I remember this. A creepy old man told me he loved my long hair, so I cut it. That's exactly what it is. Oh, you like long hair on women? Well, I'm going to cut the long hair. Take that, men. I do like the response to this is, I like your neck. Time to goon. He's fat. Yeah, it's Chumley. That's Chumley's gimmick, is being fat. Found this plate in a charity shop, and it really made me laugh. Absolutely no need for that from Thomas. Hello, said the tractor. I'm Terrence. I'm plowing. I'm Thomas. I'm pulling a train. What ugly wheels you've got. Out of line, Thomas. What if the ship of Theseus was sentient? It's not a question. I was prepared to grapple with this on Monday. Thomas didn't enjoy his time at the works. It's nice to feel mended again, he said afterwards. But they took so many of my old parts away and put new ones in that I'm not sure whether I'm really me or another engine. In the ship of Theseus. See, I've never had any plastic surgery. The only thing I've done twice is Botox in my forehead. Yeah. I don't think that's true. You ready? It's a classic episode of South Park. It's pretty funny. You ready? I remember they finally beat the guy, and they're like, "Okay, what do we do? What do we do now? What do you mean? Now you can finally play the game." Let's see. A jealous friend ruined Mexican actress Lynn May's beauty treatment by injecting harmful substances into her face. It's called Botox. And the entire city must be purged for the better, right? For the better, right? I mean, Jaina Proudmoore didn't stand with Arthas when he wanted to purge Stratholme for the right reasons. Like they're all infected anyway. Hoes ain't loyal sometimes. Hoes just ain't loyal sometimes. It was abandon you at your worst moment, right? Where like, I gotta kill Mal'Ganis. I gotta cleanse Stratholme of all these people who are infected before they turn into undead, as a mercy to them. And Jaina's like, I'm out. I can't watch you do this. Oh, boo-hoo. What was me? Yeah, the hoes ain't loyal, all right? Jaina Proudmoore instantly abandoned him. Instantly. Anyway. You, unlike myself, have chosen the path of the living. You must learn to be one with this life, or it will destroy you, Adam. The only way to do this is to pay its price. Its price is pain. Let's see. Let's try harder. Me after a few hours of Tinder. The entire city must be purged. What is this? Oh, it's just She-Hulk. A lot of all the dialogue. Let's see. Come on, make me angry. That Red Shield, this guy puts Kingpin to shame. Is that Grey Hulk? Original Grey Hulk. Future Imperfect. Let's see. At this, Warcraft lore, World of Warcraft lore. If Arthas listened to Uther. Yeah, because everyone would just be dead. Like if Arthas listened to Uther, the plague would have just carried on, I guess, without. Unless you're talking about how like he's like, hey Arthas, you probably should just like stop pursuing this guy, because then he wouldn't have gone to the crown of the Ice Crown, and he wouldn't have gone to Frostmourne, and he wouldn't become evil. I guess that's where they're going with. And so the current WoW lore is being auto-generated by AI. I believe it. There's Rogue. There's Equestria Girls. And then there's sorry, just a tad bigger, hun. All right, chat. All right. We're going to go ahead and close the stream for today. Thank you much everyone for joining me. Thank you much, Best Chat, for always being Best Chat. Thank you very much for your generosity. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. So again, of course, next time. As soon as I find the video, where is it? Where is it? Where is this thing? Where'd it go? Let me see. Ah, here it is. Here we go. Here we go, chat. It's gonna be a long ending. So get ready. So again, of course, next time.
In my locked, lonely tower, the world is out of sight. A witch by day, a beast by night, I embrace the hellish blight. Of kings and crowns and holy souls, I hope they fucking drown. Let trumpets blow, sing hymns they know, and bear my vicious frown. But my heart will not break, and I really hope for their sake. They're bumbling and innocent, their doom would be imminent if they dare forget Maleficent. You'll remember my name when the heavens burn aflame. Now you shall pay the price when I vanish paradise. You only have yourself to blame. Flora, fauna, Merryweather. Their names were not forgotten. Listen well, all of you. The princess, yes, you shall imbue with Flora's gift and Fauna's too. I swear this day you'll rue, because my curse will too come true. Aurora will grow in grace, in every heart she'll find her place, with eyes of sky and hair of rye. Before her birthday says goodbye, she'll prick her finger and she'll die. And she'll die. A heart full of ire and hell's own holy fire. No princess and no innocent can quell Maleficent. With ancient prose, the red rose will bleed like all my foes. Let steeple bells ring funeral knells and mourn what fate they chose. No, my heart will not break. I know for their sake they'll regret their damn mistake when the palace lies awake for a century of malicious hate. You'll remember my name when the heavens burn aflame. Now you shall pay the price as I banish paradise. You only have yourself to blame. No, my heart will not break. Pray now for heaven's sake. Sing every holy verse. You'll never fled. She pricks her finger, and she's dead. You will remember. You will remember. You will remember Maleficent. Maleficent. A dark, twisted fairy has placed on you a blight. Your gift of grace and gift of song she hates with all her might. She hides away, in dark she'll stay, where the light can never go. Yet she ran to see a fantasy she'll never ever know. Our smiling faces were the basis of the evil seed she'd sown. Yet my heart will not break, and I hope for her sake. Her eulogy is eloquent, my anger is imminent. My hand will fail Maleficent. I'll remember your name as you fucking burn a flame. No princess and no innocent should ever fear Maleficent. You only have yourself to blame. King Stefan, Queen Leah, Princess Aurora. Listen well, all of you. Maleficent has spoken true. Her curse is one I can't undo. I swear this day she'll rule, because I have a gift to grant you too. Should Aurora's finger bleed and Maleficent's hate succeed, no hand of death her soul shall keep. She'll close her eyes in dreamless sleep, and she'll awaken from her bliss when set upon her true love's first kiss. True love's first kiss. Fear now fills the air, but don't you dare despair. Your Majesty, this travesty shall never claim your heir. Though evil's hour grants it power, love will never cower. So I make this vow,